Hello and welcome to another episode of Straight Out of Stanton. I hope you guys are doing good. Well, first of all, thank you for all the love and support in both of our shows. And yeah, welcome to yet another one. How are you doing, Mr. Masso? How's your week been?
Uh, Good. It's been a busy week. Haven't had a ton of time to game,
Well, when you
but
did, you actually played Star Citizen,
I did. Yeah, a little bit.
which was interesting for me to see
Yeah.
because
Well,
whenever I see you in SC, I'm like, are you actually like on the website? Because it shows like you're in game
oh,
on the
does
launcher.
that actually really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I asked you like last
Oh,
couple of weeks. I was like, "Oh, you're playing," and you're like, "No." And I see you in the
oh,
launcher
oh. So it's okay. Maybe.
because they
Weird. Why would
connected
I have
that.
the launcher open?
No, no, no. In my launcher, I can see you in, but you're actually logged into the RSI.
Oh, right, right,
That's what
right. Yeah,
happens.
which I suppose is their end goal, right? Because they want to connect
Yeah.
Spectrum to
Yeah.
to the game and stuff like that. But yeah, no, no. The only things I've done over the last few weeks is basically popped into check a quote on Spectrum or something like that. But
Mm.
but yeah, when this week, yeah,
You played a
doing
lot
good.
of it. That's cool. Because we had a rough week, man, or rough. I don't know,
Yes,
stretch of
yeah, and
days.
and and I will say, like, this is something that I'm kind of surprised at, honestly, because, like, man, like, when we got those 314 changes, I had a little bit of a snap, actually. I was just
I've never
like,
seen you like that. You were done.
yeah, I was like, I mean, to everybody who is new here and doesn't realize that I've been around the block a few times, like, it's not like I'm a stranger to things moving down the roadmap or anything like that. Like, I have been here since 2014. I've seen everything move. But
Mm.
this latest one specifically was just, it was hard, man, because it basically said to me that there's not really going to be any new gameplay in 2021 either.
I think it's something
Um,
else actually, but I mean, I can throw it out and you can agree or disagree.
sure.
And it's been me saying this for a while now, but I've heard other people say that as well. And we're not that big of a podcast yet, at least, to affect our people that much. So it's the fact that now it becomes more and more real, the realization that this game is not coming out in 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, especially with what seem like relatively minor gameplay additions like medical and what else moved? It was medical, physicalized inventory. That one's fairly big, I'll admit. But like those sorts of things moving down the road again this year after they've been telling us the last 2 years, like, systems are coming online, guys. Now we're gonna start being able to put in gameplay, and then
Mm. Uh,
midway through 2021, and it's, and then it just is looking like that's gonna be pushed to next year again, and I just kind of was like, I was so bummed out, man. I was
mm.
so bummed out. Just and again, like, I realized too that it's only been bumped one patch to 315, but
What
but
does that
with
even mean?
tier 0 applications, what that means is that, yeah, okay, we might get the ability to heal somebody else. Let's use medical as the example. But the chances of there actually being any gameplay attached to that in 2021 is now very improbable, given like, historically, how they kind of implement features and then add them into gameplay aspects kind of later on. And then, yeah, I just kind of had a bit of a snap there. I was just ready to just say, you know what? I'm just gonna put the game down and I'll come back in a couple years, like, for my
Yep.
sanity. But I don't know. Like, I bounced back pretty hard from that. Um, I will get into, I guess, a little bit of it when we get into, like, what we did in game and stuff like that. But yeah, let's yeah.
That's what it
That was
is.
a
Like, and
long intro.
that's fine. I mean, it leads into what we were doing. So, and Yeah, for me, like I've been around for less than 2 years, if I'm not wrong, and yeah, I had some expectations where like the game might come out 4 years since I started following, because
Mm.
that's what people. No one told me 2 years, and those who said like whenever I would hear 2 years, I'd be like, and then
Yeah, not
someone that
likely.
is there for longer would confirm that and be like, yeah, it's always 2 years. But then I really thought 4, maybe 5, but that would mean that now in 2 years it would happen, and just, it's not. And I came to I made peace with the game not coming out for the next 10 years. I know you're still not in that.
Well, I think the main thing for me is that I don't care whether or not the game is
Well, that's
out,
true. You
you
just
know?
want the gameplay. I'm not like that. We're
I just
different
want the
there. Yeah.
game. I just want the game playable in some way, shape, or form. And the reason that this latest kind of bump of gameplay hit me so hard was because for the last like 3+ years, the game has been more or less the same.
I've never.
And
Yeah, I am. I've seen some small things, but like I
yeah, I mean,
still
we
am
sure,
to experience some groundbreaking change. I still don't have it in me, and I've been around for
exactly.
2 years, right? So that's kind of
Yep.
crazy.
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like we've had some minor changes. We've had some additions and some quality of life improvements.
Sure.
Some the other way around. Some went the other way, but no real changes to gameplay. And this year was looking like it finally might be that year where gameplay really started to, have some things that kind of made the way we play Star Citizen pretty drastically different from the way we've been playing for the past 3 years. And with this
I think it
latest
was that
delay, it just
Xenothreat.
kind of
It gave us.
yeah, yeah. But also what I was seeing on the roadmap, yeah,
I
like
know, I
like you
know.
said, like Xenothreat for sure, or Xenothreat, however you want to say it. I
Doesn't
guess they
matter.
say
Yeah,
it multiple ways, but uh,
it
yeah,
gave
I
us a
mean,
taste of like what
it
the game
did
could be, right?
what the game could be exactly when it started actually feeling like an MMO, and then you start looking at these big features like personal inventory, like actual physicalized inventories and stuff like that. And you see what they just did with Xenothreat, and yeah, like it did
It
kind
could
of raise my
enhance, right?
expectations for this game actually starting to kind of like to shift more towards what its kind of final iteration might look like. And I just don't think it's going to happen this year anymore. It's after that move, like, so the next patch that it'll be in 3.15, like that's September. And I don't really see that actually being any positive drastic effects to there being any major additions to gameplay between September and the end of the year. It's not likely. And then of course, hilariously, Salvage got bumped again to an
Let's
end of the year patch, which means it's definitely not coming out this year.
let's yeah. So to put this into perspective, let's talk about that in news. Actually, we never talked about these
Sure.
things. Um, but what happened before, literally before we started, if you're not watching Stanton Gossip, which is our other shorter podcasty thing that we do on Wednesdays, like literally before we're gonna start recording, we got the news that stuff got removed from the map, and that bumped both of us.
Yeah.
I was
And
We were
and
already at
again,
the low point, to be fair.
yeah. And again, like we realize that it wasn't confirmed. We realize all that shit.
Yeah,
Like we realize that stuff can get moved down the roadmap. That's not what bummed us out.
no,
It's not that it moved necessarily. It's that, that move, it's what that move signified. Anyway, sorry, continue.
yeah, but still, we got 3.13.1 landing earlier than most of us expected,
Mhm.
and yeah, Invictus is in. I don't give a shit about Invictus, to be honest. But you do, and a lot of people does in general. Um, to me, it's just like another way of them selling stuff, which obviously I want them to sell things. There's no problems with that. I'm just not getting any excitement out of it. And but I did when 3.13.1 came out. I already knew, like, because I wasn't sure if they're gonna wipe, money and whatnot, and that's kind of lingering and all that. I was like, I'll start playing again when that comes out. Then after the roadmap change, I was like, I don't even feel like playing. Man, I don't know if you remember. I told you
Yeah.
I'm gonna delete the game for a while. I just don't want to get in. And then I did. I on stream I turned it on and I tried doing a couple of things. This was before Invictus started, and man, I had so many issues that it ended up like 2 days me just like alt F4 in the game and saying, you know what, I'm gonna do this from now on. Like the moment the game starts pissing me off, I'm just gonna alt F4. I don't have it in me, man, anymore. Like and once it was like half an hour, the other time it was like an hour, and I was done. I'm like, I'm not. I'm gonna go and play something else on this. I don't care. And then the Invictus happened, and so that was the second time, and I logged in. I was doing things around, talking to my chat and whatnot, and then the time has come, and you could like fly to Microtech and actually check the floor. It was RSI, and I got so many bugs, man. Like I would that day I tested trading. And I told you I invested like 500,000 Alpha UEC in audio whatever equipment, and following the little new stuff that we're going to talk about this that appear on the in your Mobiglass like tracker, and I've sold it at the highest possible buyer, and I made 6,000 Alpha UEC, and I was like, why did I risk 500,000? It's like makes no fucking sense, and it was like the most expensive commodity. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like go and check the Invictus and leave. And what happened was I died somehow. I don't remember. So now I'm in my room and like waking up in the bed, and whenever I press Y, my character gets up and falls down into like the glass part of the the building, and it slides through the glass. The building you can fly through where the hotels are.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a
The
ragdoll. It just
firebrand.
dies and slides down 5, 6 times, and I was like, just like, what do I need to like reset my character and all that? I'm like, dude, being a content creator for this game is the most frustrating thing ever. Like since I've been streaming Twitch, like there's on Twitch is things that piss me off, but Star Citizen, it just air out of the bubble and all that. Like that's you just feel deflated.
Hmm.
Um, So today I can talk about this later because you had better experiences, and I'm super happy for that. But then today I logged in again and I went to check Invictus. I went to check um, Javelin tour, and yeah, some other things happened which I'm going to talk about. But like, what was like your experience was much better with trading and all that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so first of all, to clarify, I wasn't stoked for Invictus either, man. Like I was just like, it's gonna be another Invictus. And I was kind of feeling the same way. Like I don't even feel like getting on to check. But then, Invictus opened, the .1 patch, and I was just like, you know what? Well, I got I gotta go on the podcast on Sunday, so I'll fire this up and at least go see my Hercules because I've been wanting to kind of like
Oh
to
yeah,
to
yeah.
fly
Well,
that for
that's
a
the thing.
while.
You're excited about the ship and Redeemer,
Um,
right? I don't have anything coming. I'm like, whatever.
yeah. And anyway, so I logged on and like that was the weird thing. Like everything worked. Like I got in okay, and like I poked around on the commodities thing and started noticing all the, how it's not just like pick up gear and you're always running the same route. Like there was all the, like there was different commodities going to different places, planets, stations, like all these different places. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I was like, okay, well, server seems stable enough. go get the Hercules and go fly somewhere and try to pick up some cargo. And I again, like I've seen the Hercules, I've seen all the videos, I've seen it on people's streams and stuff like that. But like just like walking up to it for the first time, getting on the elevator and like getting up into the ship and just kind of like walking around it, it was just like this feels good. Like this
It
ship,
hits you,
like
yeah.
I wasn't really sure about it, from the streams. I thought I was going to be kind of disappointed by the Hercules, from what I've seen, but like walking around and it just felt good. Like I liked the lighting, I liked the layout of the ship after I kind of wandered around it for a little bit and the doors, the art, everything like that. I was just like I'm not disappointed by the ship. There's still certain things, certain angles from outside that I'm not really crazy about. I feel like there's just certain areas in the rear of the ship that look kind of lazy to me. Like the shapes look kind of lazy.
Hmm.
Um,
I think they
but
wanted that on purpose. I think they wanted MSR to be like more of a busy feel because it does so many things, and then Hercules, I think they tried to make it more. It's it's a hauler, so let's try and make it look like there's nothing except
maybe,
for hauling. But
yeah.
I
I
feel like there was,
it
if it
just
was
looked
on
like
purpose, it doesn't feel good.
no, there's certain areas from the rear where it looks like they literally just like have like flat panels like for
Mm.
large parts of the back of the ship, which I'm not super crazy about. But interior, yeah, it was good, and I flew and landed and loaded up with cargo. It sucks that you can't see the cargo in the cargo bay right now. That seems to be a bug
Oh
with
yeah,
the
you
cargo.
can't see it anywhere. Like I was flying a couple of
No,
ships, and
MSR too, yeah, yeah, same way. But yeah, no, I it felt pretty good. I completed a cargo run and actually made like not a crazy amount of money, but I was only hauling processed food, so I didn't expect to be, but it was still like 20 grand, just basically for flying from where I spawned to the Invictus Hall, which is where I was going. And I just kind of landed and it was weird. It was a really weird sensation because it was like it's still the same game, but everything was working properly and there was just it just felt good. Maybe it is just good that I kind of have stepped away. Like I hadn't really played the game for like a
mm.
solid month and I just felt like my mood increasing the more I the more I played, which was very strange. But yeah, and
There's
then
yeah, it's important that you manage to accomplish something as well. Man, when I
well,
trade, I'm under constant stress of like getting a 30K, even though
I
I
guess
haven't
like
had a single 30K 313, and I still did not get one in 313-1. I
yeah.
had other issues, but not 30K.
The benefit in my case, I suppose, is that I really didn't even give a shit. Like I was like, "Pff, I'm gonna load this cargo on, and if I 30K, I literally don't care. Like,
Well, I'm the
um,
same, but it still
but
gets me. It's like passively it's
yeah,
there in the back of my head.
but yeah, no, it felt good, and I wandered around the hall for a bit, which I didn't really care too much about. Like, I'm not, there's not like RSI doesn't really have many offerings. I don't really care about Argo. I don't really care about the Scorpius, but it still was just I don't know, it was cool. Then where it really started to like feel good was when I stepped on board like the Javelin. First of all, just like walking up to it, and I know it's only 300 meters or whatever, but when you look at it docked like from the window of the space station, it looks pretty impressive, like in person. I was just like, cool, man.
Let's get back to Javelin
Okay,
because we both have, and we two of us didn't really talk about this at all, so that's kind of cool. But we both did visit Javelin.
yeah.
Um, I
It just
went.
felt I
I
just had a good time. Yeah.
I'm super happy for that, and whenever I mean, it reflects. If you look up, like if you check Twitch at the time where we are recording this and streaming on Master's channel, you can see there's like 6,000-7,000 people watching Star Citizen.
Mhm.
Mostly non-English speaking, but it doesn't really matter. Like there's suddenly Invictus landed. There's free flight. There's
Yeah.
people are like checking
Yeah.
what's happening, asking questions. It's alive. The fact that I'm not, and we talked about this so many times, like the fact that one patch is good for you doesn't mean it's good for others. It's very,
Yeah,
very mm, personal, if
yeah.
thing where you never know what's going to happen. Some people might have
Well,
really unstable
we
experience.
just demonstrated that. I mean,
Yeah,
and this is one of the things we've been talking about historically throughout our episodes on this show has been just how, like, one person will have a solid time and the next person will be having the worst time,
yeah,
like, and there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it, unfortunately.
true. So I went to the same reason. I went to Invictus today. Kind of fun experience because I actually remember now we talked on Discord. We did chat on Discord, and I remember seeing the button on the elevator saying RSI hall, and then as I turned around, did something, came back, and it was like ages, and I'm like, what?
Hmm.
And then yeah,
Can we
I-
pause for a second because that's
yes,
actually pretty crazy that
yeah,
it actually
hot
switched
swap,
over without a
yeah.
patch.
I don't think I think everything's in the game. I think they have like multiple basically the elevator just takes you to another floor. You know what I mean? And all the floors are
Yeah.
probably like underground or something, so you don't really see it. But it's kind of cool that it's hot swapping. I have some issues, and we can talk about this as well, with like how they do Invictus now. And I think they did it before as well. I think that's normal, but I just don't like it. But before that, I went around this venue where they do it. We talked about it a lot last year when it was used for the first time, and we were mind blown. You remember? The only
Yeah.
problem was that it's too big and you don't have a scooter or something to go around. But
It's
other than
Sprint
that, it
Citizen.
looks so good. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, like I am disappointed that there's no reclaimer today because you remember how good it was? I remember getting
Yeah.
in on a stream. I was like, "Oh my god, she looks even
It's
bigger inside, right?"
it's so imposing.
Oh yeah, intimidating as fuck. It's like, and I got it. Like I was like, I want this ship again.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's it. Like, even without that there, sorry, I'm just gonna go back to like because I'm still trying to figure this out in my head. Like,
mm,
why all of a sudden, like, even though I didn't really care about Invictus because it's basically just a military ship sail that I don't really
that's what it
care
is.
about.
Reclaimer
But
was not in the Invictus. It was in the
but
other
but
one.
for some reason, playing and walking around on the show floor was enough to make me just feel like
Eh,
I
yeah,
remember why I love this game. Like, yeah.
they
Sorry,
made it
continue.
better experience than last year. There's
Yeah.
more NPCs walking around, especially like there's like they're walking in the groups, which I've never seen before. Um, what I've noticed, you can occasionally see a shorter person. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
You can occasionally see a shorter person around, which
Hmm.
seems like an unimportant thing, but it actually is important because that means that they're working on characters, scaling, and other things, and I think it does matter because right now we all look the same, which sucks, right?
Not to mention this that's kind of a big deal because they've talked about they've had it posed the question posed to them a few times in the past, like, can we change our character's height? And they've always basically said, sorry, no, like we can't do that because all of our ship metrics and stuff like that are set in a certain way and it's just like way too much work
Hmm.
um
I've only
to
seen
change all
one.
that. But
I've only
yeah,
seen one, and I might have it in the VOD. And I remember like walking around. It was on my stream, and I was like, "That's so strange." You look at that person from the perspective of the others, and yourself. If you go to the like third person, you're like, and you look at them like from above, and yeah, it reminds you how realistic it feels to play this game when just like
that's weird.
tiny change. Yeah, it actually felt like that. It felt weird. It was a female character.
I
Um,
wonder if it's gonna be like an NPC only thing, because, like, that's one of the
maybe.
reasons that it took them so long to get the female model into the game at all, was just because, like, the female model is smaller than the male model, and they had to do a ton of work to make all the, like, everything work with that, like, smaller model, but
It could
But I
be,
wonder
yeah.
if they've either figured it out
Don't know because it was
if it's just like an NPC thing, or if it was a bug. Who knows? Maybe it's just a
maybe it was a
bug.
bug, but it looked very normal. Like it didn't look like
Yeah,
she does not
it
belong
looked
there
like
or
a
anything like that.
person, not a bug.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was not standing on the chair or anything. It was like actually interacting with things or what. Felt
Yeah.
good. Maybe they're just testing it. If there's only one and I just encountered it, it was not even on the show floor. It was like somewhere in New Babbage. I don't remember.
Hmm.
Okay, so they've made some changes. There's now when you get to the show. Oh my god, I had a crazy. I've met the Star Citizen Golem when I came there first. There was a naked guy with a hat, crawling around, and just like asking people shit. And I'm glad this was when I streamed. I was like, "What the hell, dude?" And he's just going like, "You have space in that elevator?" Hmm? And I'm like, "Get the fuck out, bro!" And he's like following, like he crouched and he's like following everyone. And it was so funny because he's naked, and then he has like like suntanned like where your shirt would like
Oh
have,
yeah. That's
everything's
right. I
like
forgot.
pale, and then up here he's like darker skin, and I'm like, oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
Literal golem. Um, yeah. Then the other thing is, here's a problem. You have, for those who have never been there or have been there last year and don't remember quite, like, let me refresh your knowledge about the show floor. So you have a main area with like big floor where usually is like these big ships and a couple of small ships around it, and then
yeah.
you have stairs to go like under, where there's usually like ground vehicles, and then there's like two or three follow
Hollow.
viewers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have two separate holes. They're called, I don't remember. They're called the same, Zephyr 1 and 2, and then Zephyr. So here's the problem: Zephyr 1, 2, and then today there's Zephyr 4, 5, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's very hard to find a way around and know if you're like getting
Maybe
into the right
that's
place.
maybe the reason it's 4 5 is because like what you were saying, like
RSI
maybe the
is the other ones, right?
RSI
Yeah,
is
I
like up
guess.
above and then like 4 5 is down below and
But it's easy to
you know
get lost because now they added a new thing where if you go from the main hole to one of these Zephyr holes, like the side ones, there's
yeah,
F8 lightning on a rotating. It
yeah.
man,
And it's
it
all
looks
beat up.
good. Yeah, but the problem is both of these holes have F8 lightning of the same color, right? Which is red, and with stars now on the wings. I don't remember if that was a thing before. It has
I don't
stars,
remember.
like white stars on the wings. Anyways, yeah, and then once you get through, you see one has like Titans and I don't Eclipse, and then the other one has all the Vanguards or whatever. But it's easy to get lost. What I really liked is you have like bunch of weapons around the main hole and components.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can actually go and buy stuff there.
I was gonna actually mention this to you because you've always been saying that you wish that the components were in one spot, and like even though these aren't all of the components, you can get a bunch of the really good ones
It felt
right
like a
off the
really
floor.
good car show, or something like that, where you go and you can actually buy a component right there. It just
Yeah,
feels good. The other thing that I found, there's a bunch of these tables. Oh yeah, the first thing that happens is that now there's like a little like amphitheater at the beginning with a
yeah.
hollow projection of someone. I don't know who it is. Unfortunately, on my server, I showed you the screenshot. It was like
That's weird, man.
misplaced, and it was like
Yeah,
half in the wall, like whatever. But yeah,
this
and
is
then
Star Citizen.
yeah,
That should have been on their video. Just like holograms like
yeah.
bugged into walls.
The other thing was there's like a lot of new standees where like you can like sit and sign up for Invictus, like for sign up for UE, I guess, which were not there before. You can't really sit, but they make the place more alive. And then there's a movable coffee shop, which um was both very disappointing and mind blowingly good because It's basically like one of those stands in like ArcCorp where you outside where you can like buy food or whatever. This is a coffee shop. It doesn't sell any coffee. Um, which is
Does it
funny.
actually say coffee on it?
Yes,
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
pay
the name.
attention, I will
It's like
say.
coffee shop or mobile coffee shop or something.
Hmm.
But it does. So I've sent you a screenshot. Um,
Oh
there's
yeah.
four. Well, I have it here. Like there's new fruits or veggies to like nom nom. So there's chopped watermelons, apples, golden madman, which looks like a really tiny melon, like a mix of a melon and maybe pear. I don't know. Oza, which looks like avocado almost. I don't know, or like avocado mix of avocado and maybe lime. I don't know. It's really strange. Pitambu, which I don't know the fuck what that is. So these are all like you can buy them one by one and eat them, which hopefully means that we'll be able to go and find these fruits in the open, maybe, and like pick them up. I would love that. I want
Maybe.
more
I
of
know
that.
that some
You
of
can,
them already have
you
been,
have
like,
mushrooms now on new Babbage that you can pick.
Katambu, if I'm not mistaken, those fruits were around. Golden Medmans definitely were. But those were the ones that were impossible to find.
Oh yeah, on her that
Yeah,
no one has ever seen.
yeah.
Apart from that, we have new energy drink in a can and Black Mountain Sujin tea, which almost sounds like something you would get from Crusader because all the Japanese, theme. And it has actually the place where you buy it, the box is like split in two, and half of it is mild and half is rich, which is a little attention to detail. See these little things that makes me happy. That makes the game feel more alive. And yes, like that really felt good. Yeah, the shop's name is Coffee to Go. That's what it says on top. And there's like a coffee machine and mugs, but you can't have any of that.
This
So
is I always get an interesting perspective here because I never pay attention to shit like that. Like, I just don't. I
I,
mean, maybe
I know.
later on down the road when you can actually stock your ships a little bit more, like
Mm,
physicalized inventory, I'll probably start paying attention to stuff like that. But yeah, like I didn't
there's
even realize there was a coffee
I know,
shop in
right?
in
So
that show floor.
I've studied. I gotta send you my CV, man. You're gonna understand these things so much easier. Like, I've studied photography, so my attention to detail is high. I
Mm,
used to work on movies as a props uh, maker, right, and organizer. So, and then I love. There's another thing I never did this, but it was like a dream for me to work on Foley, which is a sound, right? Basically, lying sound, like implementing sound that is not real into games and movies and whatnot. And
right.
so I pay attention to these little things, and I'm like, that's so interesting to me. Little details. Um, before I let you explain, I've seen that you wrote something here about, and we can talk about the Javelin as well. But
Literally, this is just me, like, spitballing stuff I noticed as I
same.
was playing the game,
So
that's
I
all.
had a really big issue. It sounds like not that important, but it really is. Randomly, a pointer, like if you press F1 to go to Mobiglass, like the metallic pointer that you're using, I exit Mobiglass and it stays on my screen. And whenever I
That's a
move
known
something,
issue.
oh my god, it's so fucking
Yeah.
annoying. And you have
I
to
s
exit the game to sort it. There's no other
yeah,
way.
chat or actually technically just relog from what I've heard, but I don't know about you, but my game
Just
crashes.
relog. It's such a
My
big
game
thing in Star Citizen, right?
well, yeah, and every time I try to log out, my game just crashes to desktop,
Shit.
so
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 that
there's that,
was
but yeah,
one.
no, that's a known issue,
Cool.
unfortunately. It's, something that everybody is experiencing, except for me, I haven't experienced it yet, and, they definitely are working on it, so
The other one, I've never seen this. This was a horror movie scene. I woke up in New Babbage, so the server was fine. I did not like just log into the new server. I did the backspace to get into the room. I woke up. This was me going to Invictus for the first time when it was not even open yet. When I met the golem and all that. So I
right.
wake up in the bed And you know, sometimes you wake up from the bed, and by the time you make it to the floor, especially in Lorville, it teleports you back into the bed, and you have to like get up again. That
That's
never
never
happened
happened
to
to
you?
me.
Oh wow.
No.
Okay, this is something that happens to me very often, kind of. So you just like almost like a delayed rubber band, where it just like puts you back in the bed, and you have to like do the whole thing again. So this time I woke up, I looked around a little bit, set up my armor, opened the door in New Babbage, made it to the elevator, called the elevator. Elevator comes, and it rubber bands me back into the bed, and I'm like, what? I have a
What?
clip of this. This is crazy. That was so like so delayed. I remember I just stared into a camera. I was like, can someone clip this? Because like I'm like this is like, even I didn't expect this. Yeah. Before we get to Javelin, because I think we're gonna talk about that a bit. Um, you've changed your loner for Banu Merchantman.
Yeah, the loaner for the Banu Merchantman used to be a caterpillar, and now it's a Herc. So I have 2 Hercules now all of a sudden. I was kind of hoping that they would keep it as a caterpillar so I could have a caterpillar
Oh, I
and a
see. So it's
Hercules.
not you changing it;
No,
it's them changing. Oh
they
yeah,
changed
yeah, that's something worth mentioning. They've upgraded the loaner matrix a few days ago. There's
yeah.
some new things, especially because obviously new ships shook the whole thing, Hercules and whatnot. But I'll tell you one thing: if you want to fly Valkyrie, Valkyrie is $375.
Way too much money.
True, but it's a beautiful. I love that ship. It's a beautiful. I know you don't care about it, but and I don't have a use for it, but it's fun, especially like it's very popular if you wanna mine with the ROC,
That
and
makes
you
sense,
can
yeah.
yeah, and you can also carry I think ROCDS in it if for some reason you want that.
Yeah.
Um,
If for some reason you bought one,
it also I think it looks awesome, but it's not really much use for it, and can carry like 30
it does
SC
look
or something.
awesome. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
So the
It's just
ship
for me, for what I would use it for, it's pretty much just a commuter ship, which it
exactly.
is good for because it's fast and it has really large quantum tanks.
It
But
takes a long time to get from your cockpit out of the ship because you have to like
mm,
go down the ladder and all that. Doesn't
right,
have elevators.
yeah,
Anyways, if you want that and you're like me and you like change ships all the time with your store credit, or you just want to buy it but you don't have enough money, so $375. If you buy a redeemer, which is $250, you get the loaner Valkyrie. So that's $125 less for Valkyrie. And I know like it's for a lot of people this will make no sense and whatever, but I am like this. Like if I want to fly a ship that I couldn't fly and I can pay, I can melt my stuff and get it, damn right I'm gonna do it, and have some fun. So
well,
there's a tiny
there's
cheat for
some
you.
logic. There's some logic to that too, because you want to, like, if you buy it, it's in your buybacks, which is what you do basically. Like, you have a big roster of pretty much any
Everything.
ship
I have
that
everything up
you
to
can use
350.
your buyback tokens for. So it
Actually
does kind of make
more.
sense in that
I
part.
even have a
But
reclaimer and all that, like everything.
it should be mentioned that, barring any movement in the roadmap, the Redeemer is actually supposed to be out in 315. So this tactic of getting the Redeemer for cheaper and having a Valkyrie loaner is
Sure.
only for a few more months.
Yeah, but I mean, you
Ideally.
can melt it then.
Ideally.
It doesn't really matter,
Oh, of
right?
course. Of course. All I'm saying is
Plus,
that, like,
let's be
is that
honest, Redeemer will jump in price. We know that.
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Oh,
you
yeah.
can just
That
upgrade
ship's
something even like Carrick or something. I don't know.
that ship's going up to 400.
It's massive. Speaking of which, it's fucking massive. Have you been there today?
Yeah, that's one of the major
It's
reasons I logged on
huge.
today, was I wanted to go and actually see that thing on the floor, and it is way bigger than I expected.
Here's a question for you before you say anything. You said that you think it's the size of a Vanguard. Did you change your mind? You said
When did
like,
I say that? Did I?
yeah, off after we were done with the. It doesn't matter. So that's what you said. We were talking like how big it is, and you said, "Well, you expect it to be." I said it's bigger
Oh,
than
oh, yes. No, no,
yeah,
I expected it to be like, yeah, like, not like,
twenty
obviously,
maybe.
it's thicker, obviously, yeah, like, Well, not even that, to be honest. I expected it to be smaller than a constellation. Um, uh, Vanguard was obviously a misspeak there because like you can tell just by looking at it that like it's a lot thicker, like it's a lot taller than the Vanguard, but that was kind of when I first got that Redeemer, that's about what I was expecting. I was expecting something like slightly larger than Cutlass size,
This
maybe closer to
scratches
like
character.
Missar, but yeah, like it's basically or no, it's definitely not even close to a Carrick.
No, no, no. But if you put it, the Carrick's standing next to Redeemer, it's not gonna make it look small or anything.
No, like
It's big.
it's constellation sized with a lot bigger guns.
I
Maybe
think it's
not
much
quite as
bigger than
long.
Constellation, man.
No,
When
no, no,
it
no, no,
comes
no,
out, we're
no.
gonna pack one next to the other, you and me, because I
Okay.
have the Connie and you have right, and you'll see
Yeah.
like this thing, even if it's maybe on paper the same length and height, it's
I
definitely higher,
I think it's
taller,
shorter than the constellation, but it's thicker.
but it looks massively bigger. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's chonky.
it's
It
very
looks
chunky.
chonky.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I don't know, like, honestly, the more I see about it, the more I actually like it. Like, like, at first, I picked up the Redeemer primarily because, I wanted to do multi-crew gameplay, and it seemed like it would be a good multi-crew beat stick. I didn't really care for the looks one way or the other, uh, but but the more I'm kind especially now seeing it actually on the show floor, seeing it physicalized, I like it. I mean, to me, it looks like a nasty attack helicopter, and
It looks like you changed my mind.
yeah.
I don't like it at all. But then you said it's like a helicopter. I'm like, oh, I never looked at it like that. Because I look at Retaliator as a submarine, you
Hmm.
know, and then when you said helicopter, I was like, ooh, it does
Yeah.
look like a
Well,
helicopter.
gunship too. I don't know. When I hear gunship, that's what I think about. I think about it like a helicopter gunship. So for me, when I heard Redeemer gunship and then saw the shape of the tail and everything like that, that's what I thought. It was just basically
It
futuristic
does. Yeah.
helicopter gunship.
I'm not
Like it
interested
even
in it, but I want to try it obviously and look. It's a bummer we can't get inside. Ah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I know like we've seen people bugging the camera inside and stuff. So like we know that like the inside isn't finished, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Okay. So before Warhammer and all that, so they have this thing, and I want your take on this. I think this is ridiculous. I hate this. Oh. So when Invictus comes out, you have days per brands. So first days I can check it, but like first day is RSI, the second day is Ages, third might be I don't know Misk or whatever. Fourth is you know so day by day,
Yeah.
and that's fine. I don't mind. Like in game, that's fucking cool. And when if you rent a ship, you still have it for the next 24 hours,
Hmm.
right? It's really cool. What I don't fucking understand is why are they playing the same fucking game on website with like selling shit? Because right now you can only buy RSI, like from the new stuff, RSI and Ages today, and you will be able to buy this for the rest of Invictus. But Drake and whatever comes later, you can only buy for a few days.
No, 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 no. They have a finale, and it usually sticks around. From what I remember, last week or last year, it was like a week where everything was available.
Still, dude, like why not just have everything available from the beginning? I just don't get it. Because here's the thing: I'm waiting for
that's fair.
Invictus to
Yeah,
get Terrapin, for example. That's my personal
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
And then I saw that Terrapin will be on a week after
Tomorrow.
Invictus comes out. No,
Wait,
it's
what?
not. It's like day 4 or 5.
Anvil tomorrow? What's
I
what's
don't think it
tomorrow?
is. Let me
Oh,
check.
that's right. It's 2 days Aegis. Right. It's 2 days per manufacturer.
So basically I'm like, man, why am I waiting for this? Someone is flying their Phoenix now, and I am sitting here waiting for my Terrapin to
Yeah,
come. I just
yeah.
don't get it. Like, what's the good part of this? Like, what is are they playing on a card, like on a card that like I'm gonna feel shitty and I'm gonna buy something else, and then when I get my ship I'm still gonna pay for it because I want it?
Maybe they're banking on it being all that
Wait,
much
wait.
sweeter because you had to wait for it. Oh, you're gonna tinfoil hat? Yes! Yes! I didn't even remind him. He remembered this time.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
you got your tinfoil hat on, do a tinfoil hat theory.
So that's
You're
what it is.
allowed
Like
now.
basically, if I want to buy a ship that comes on day 5, seeing other people having their beautiful ships already, I will feel like shit. I mean, that's the psychology behind it. So I will buy something today because I can't fucking wait for a week. We all know how Star Citizen players are. And then when
But
my ship comes out, I will spend more money to buy my ship.
well,
Which,
why would you do that? You just melt the one that you bought now.
well, a lot of people are not melting though. I will, obviously. I was just about to say,
Who's not melting?
oh,
Everybody
there's a lot
knows
of people
about
who don't melt
melting.
because they want to sell it later, or or gift and stuff like that. Oh man, this.
No, keep that handy. You got to keep that.
Oh yeah, it's there. It's not going anywhere, man.
That's a
It's-
permanent fixture of this
yep.
show now.
For those who are just listening, there was a tinfoil hat on my head. I'm a man of
I
my
don't
word.
I don't tinfoil hat often, but now I want a tinfoil hat. Just
Need
on
the
the off
accessories.
chance that I do tinfoil hat.
You can buy tinfoil hat on rsi.com for $5.99 during the Invictus.
Yeah,
During
it's
the
got an
Alien Week.
LTI.
During the Alien Week.
Yeah. Oh, Alien Week, yes. Somebody pitch this. I'm gonna message Tyler and be like, "Hey, you guys should have a tinfoil hat for Alien Week."
If anyone in Star Citizen should have it. Okay. Anyways, I just
Um,
wanted to say that I hate it. I don't see a reason why not have it the whole time on the website. As a matter of fact, I don't know why we don't have this throughout the whole year, but if we're making like in these short segments, that's FOMO, I guess. And I
yeah,
hate
I never thought
FOMO,
about it. I
but
never
like,
thought about it, to be honest. Probably because I don't really want to buy anything
yeah,
anymore.
because you
So
bought everything already.
everything I
Um,
want, yeah.
okay, so Hammer Fall or Hammer Fell? No, Warhammer. Sorry,
Warhammer,
War-
yeah.
Warhammer is the name of the um ship that we met already, which I did not know during the Xenotrat or Xenotrat,
Yeah,
how we call it.
yeah.
So that's the exact one Javelin that we was fighting on our side then, was kind of damaged during that encounter. Spoiler alert. And went to dry dock and is now getting ready to get back into the action. But in the meantime, since it's Invictus week, they decided to flex it a little bit for the citizens. Um, I love it. The idea of stretching this same ship around, even though it can be any ship, right? But just if you stay a little bit longer and you listen to what the NPCs on board are saying, which we're gonna go through, you feel like, oh shit, that's a ship that I've been with in the battlefield already, and like we always wonder, like, where the fuck did it go?
Not to mention, sorry, but like just on the lines of like on of history, if you actually go to the briefing room and listen to the recording in there, the
That's how I know.
Warhammer's been in service for like over 100 years.
Yeah,
Like like that ship has history.
and scars, and they
Yeah.
talk about it, um, and it's amazing. So, yeah, the so okay, so let's start from the beginning. You go into the atmosphere. First of all, it's fucking confusing. Unless you were lucky, like I pay attention to details, but I did not know how to track down the ship. You came into a tram and you saw it
Well, they're
with a
right by the
countdown.
doors. The problem is that the screens that display where the javelin is switch between that
Invictus.
information
Yeah.
screen and like fucking advertisements for Whammer's Burgers,
Yeah.
which while is immersive is
It's not even.
frustrating.
I don't think that would happen. Like if you have a one-time event and you're trying to advertise that with timestamps on it, I don't think you would have another advertisement on it.
You probably would because those people would be paid. Those companies would be paying huge money. But yeah, like
If you're
I,
military?
in real life, well, quote real life or
Yeah.
whatever, I think there'd be just more like you have a smartphone, like you have
You
a
would
mobile device. You'd be able to
why
look it
we
up,
should
but
have this on our Moby Glass, man. That's
you
it.
should, yeah.
It's so simple.
But like obviously game systems wise, the screens is the best they could get, which I will say, dynamic screens that actually kind of like, that's something that we hadn't seen last year.
And it's great. I love it. When you told, I
Yeah.
didn't even know. Like I was done with the tour and everything, and then you told me, and I stumbled upon one, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit! It says how long it's gonna be there, when is the Bengal
What
flying over,
what
which,
dock it's at,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But
But
go for
yes.
it. Sorry, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, and those screens are like they're around there, but
We're not used to looking for that kind of
exactly.
information there.
There's a
So
there's a couple things behind why people are missing it, and it's not just you. It's not just like I see it in the chat all the time when I'm in game. Like, how do I get the javelin? How do I get to the javelin? How do I get to the javelin? And like nobody is used to looking for signs and screens on a wall. And while I'm sure that eventually people get used to it, I did. That's how I figured out where it was, like look for screens and signs and stuff like that. Most people don't do that. And as cool as it is and immersive as it is, it's not good for gameplay right now until I guess until kind of like the universe is more complete and the tools are a little bit better, but yeah, like and at the very like given that given that people aren't used to looking for those sorts of cues in games
put
in
it in
in
the
modern games
elevator,
today.
man.
Elevators, perfect, yeah, and don't have it switch off the screen.
Yeah. For
Yes, it's
now,
cool. I get it. You're showing off like that you can
tech.
do cool dynamic screens and stuff like that, but just for, like, quality of life right now, it should just be locked on the Invictus thing because most of the people who are signing in here, especially if they're new, like, it's a free fly going on right
Yeah.
now, you know? Like, those people definitely aren't gonna be looking at, like,
Maybe
sign
they
in
will,
and
dude,
screens and
because
stuff like that. Well, they're
well,
not.
well,
Look at the chat.
sure, but
Like
some people just will not look anyway, right? But here's the thing: I look at the signs when I am in Lorville. I look at the map, of Metro and all that. Like I check these things. I use that as to get from point A to point B. But
yeah.
I never thought of this information being in there, right? So it's not something we had before. So I guess so. What happened to me is I was just floating around above Tressler, um, and I was watching the new. I don't know. You might know the name, but the new video that came out that everyone's watching, the one that was made long ago by Morphologist, who was like him and Linus and this guy who just made a video now. The video is actually really good. We're 100% going to talk about this in this Wednesday. So it was like half an hour video.
This
Um,
is gonna be interesting because I'm kind of having second thoughts about that video, but yeah, again,
it's
we'll
fine,
talk
but
about it
I
on
mean it's a
Wednesday.
good video. I'm
Yeah.
not saying like what the message is
Yes.
good or not. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
And I was watching that for half an hour, and at the end of it, the fireworks started popping around Tressler and down there New Bobby. Now that's fuck. I always get amazed by that. I'm sitting in my Gladius and I'm seeing fireworks and I'm like, what is that like in the corner of my stream? Like there's things like blinking and I look down. Oh shit, that's New Babbage. And I see fireworks in New Babbage from Tressler, and that
From
always
orbit.
blows my mind, man.
That
It's
is
so good.
cool.
Yeah. So
But sorry, I'm gonna interrupt just on the topic of the fireworks. I hate how you hear fireworks wherever you are in the fucking solar system because all you hear is fireworks.
yeah.
Pretty much just turn off game sounds because all you're gonna hear is just fire. At first, I thought it was like a weird audio bug. I was like, "What is going on?" Like
Mm,
everywhere I go, I'm hearing this like pop, 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 pop,
yeah.
pop, 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 and I was like, "What the fuck is
Yep.
that?" And then I
It's
realized
annoying.
it's
It's annoying.
fireworks.
Yep.
Even when the fleet is over in ArcCorp and
Oh,
you're in
that
New
happens as
Babbage,
well. Oh, I don't pay
yes,
attention to that. Oh shit.
you can hear fireworks wherever they're happening in the
These are
solar
some
system.
good fireworks, man.
Those some mega fireworks. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So the ship docks, nothing special, just like every time before. Nothing, major happens. And so I landed my Gladius. I request landing. Now I immediately had this fear of it's gonna go away because I don't know how long it stays and all that, right? So I tried finding a ship, and I went to the platform where the ship is docked, because you can do that even when the ship is not there, right? But it's the outside area. So just like in, I mean, anyways, I was like walking around trying to find the entrance into wherever I can get to the docking call or whatever. Then I figured out it's not there. Then I went back to the elevators. I went through all of the docking collars to figure out it's not the docking collar. Then like there's now on the elevator, like there's like 20 of these options, right? Like all the
Yeah,
pads,
yeah,
all the
yeah.
hangers, all the fucking docking collars. It's and I did not have any information, right? So finally I found it. It took me 20 minutes. I was like, well, great. I'm going to get there and they're going to leave. Because I don't know how long it takes. So yeah, it would be better if they made it somewhat more, and I've been playing this game for 2 years. Fuck, as you're saying, if you're a new player, you're gonna be like, ah, fuck. I was so close, like whatever. It's gonna be 2 rooms inside anyways. I'm gonna check the YouTube. Fuck, I don't care.
Yeah,
However, it was worth the time.
definitely. Yeah. I
It,
think one of the things that impressed me was just the like there's a few little like tour guide people who give little like speeches and stuff like that about the ship, and those were like shockingly good, and like the face, like they did the face capture for them too, and like
single player quality NPCs.
yeah,
So they stand there where there's like, so there's one at the entrance, one at one of the turrets, one in the like whatever dining area, mess basically, but mess, yeah, is a
yeah.
dining area, and one where the one of the bunk rooms, right, where they sleep, right, and then there's
I think that guy
another.
was my favorite.
I think he was a little bit over the top funny, trying very
uh,
hard, but yeah, I mean
I
it's still funny, it's good.
uh,
There's no way
I
someone in the army working on the ship like that would be like, oh, maybe my XO would not like me to say
I
this
just
or
like
whatever.
how he just like to me it felt genuine, like he just was like rambling and he was like, ah, what am I
Voice
doing?
acting
Like
is really good, and
yeah,
it's very believable, which is
yeah,
surprising because if you go down to Tressler or whatever, you see the other NPCs doing T pose on the chair, so you don't really
yeah,
expect them to be like this. So they wait for you at their checkpoints, and then when you approach, they will give it a second or two. I don't know if that's like desync or maybe just allowing others to show up, and then they will tell you a little story about their station, right?
hmm,
Different voices and all that. Very very good. Like the mocap was good. Dude, I stopped and listened to every story, and then they
yeah,
even there's gestures like the that chick that is talking about the turret.
the turret,
She'll
yeah,
be talking,
yeah.
and then she's gonna point her hand like this, and you're like, I literally turned my camera a little bit towards the turret, and like it's really well done.
Did you go in
Getting
the turret? I
goosebumps.
went in the
Yeah,
turret.
I did. I went to the
Those are
turret.
big
So
guns.
well, I went to the turret because I wanted to press F4 and disappoint myself again because, as you've said, when
Oh, I
you
didn't do that. Can you actually do F4 when you're in the
yes
turret? Oh,
yes,
nice.
so when you enter the ship, it feels big. It feels good. It feels like a proper ship.
Mm-mm.
Um, hmm?
Except for the engineering deck. Did you go down to engineering?
Yes, I did, but I think like parts of it are missing.
Well, yeah, so a lot of it's missing. Like
Yeah,
it's not the entire ship. But like the engineering was way too dirty for a navy ship, and like
uh,
pipes leaking
pipes
and
leaking pisses me off. Dirty. I thought it's dirty, but then they are not. If you listen to the whole story, they are not done with fixing the ship, right? So I was like,
oh, is
maybe
that it?
that's what it is.
Oh, okay, so maybe that's what wait, no, the pipes leaking still kind of pissed me off. And then if you go down further, there's just a bunch of guards standing in a dark room
It's like
doing
a
really
brig or
creepy shit.
something. I don't know. Yeah,
No, it's like pitch black. It's like the
it's
lights aren't
very
on.
dark. Yeah,
And like one of the guys was like twitching out and like
yeah.
looking up, and I
It's
was
a
just like,
horror movie
oh,
down
this
there.
is
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
down here. I'm
I
leaving.
turned off my light and I was like checking every corner down there. But yeah, um, I'll tell you something, man. I went on board. It made me listen to every story, and as someone who used to live on a ship, these stories are believable, man. Like the things that they're saying make
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
I haven't worked on ships, but I've worked out on oil rigs and hot bunking, man. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's very very believable, and I was positively surprised by this. When I used F4 in the turret, though, when you look at the ship like that, you're like, it's not that big. You'll see. Try it and tell me how you feel about it.
We've been over it. Like I said, I mean, 300 meters
Yeah,
isn't huge.
yeah.
But yeah,
These perspectives make a big difference. Like
they
what,
do.
right?
But at the same time, like, did you stop and just kind of like look at it when it's docked there out the windows? It looks really big when you're looking at it across the docking collar.
There are moments where you're very impressed. I wouldn't. I don't. I think this ship is big. I love the size of
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
just don't want that to be one of the bigger ships. That's all. Like
yeah.
I want this size of the ship is perfect. It's amazing. I love it. Right?
That's a like decent size for a destroyer for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. If we have battleships and carriers.
We're supposed to. Yeah.
But yeah. Um. I almost did not even go and check that thing, and I'm so happy I did today.
Me too. Like that's kind of another one of those things that helped my mood rebound. Like I literally role playing walked through that ship
Same.
because I was just like soaking in like the details, you know? And this was only a part of the ship, you know, just walking through it and like looking at I don't know, everything. It was just really well done, you know? And for somebody who for the last few months has been feeling really burnt out on the project, like just walking through something like that and appreciating the attention to detail was really refreshing.
I might play Squadron after this. It looks good.
Mm. I think Squadron will be pretty good, especially because, like, you know how you're talking about, like, how you approach one of the NPCs and then there's like a slight second pause and then they
Mm.
talk. I don't know if this is working in this current event, but it's in Squadron 42. They've shown stuff about like how it's supposed to depend on like if you actually look at them. You know, like if
Yeah.
you because they detect where your eyes are
Yeah.
facing, and if you look at them, then they might respond to you
Well,
or
yeah.
whatever. But if
I
you
mean
just
that
like
that's
are
that
eyes
we have
front and
that.
walk
I
past,
have that in Elder Scrolls
I
Online,
guess.
man.
Oh
Which is
yeah?
very
Oh, okay.
yeah. I stand next to the character and he turns his head and looks at me like the NPC. And if
Hmm,
someone else stops and looks at them, he like then turns at them. Like
right.
it's not. I mean, it's cool. It's cool.
I
It
haven't
adds to
seen that
immersion.
in.
Yeah.
I can't think like even in Cyberpunk, I don't think they really
I've
did
never played
that.
Cyberpunk,
But
but
then
I
even
mean,
like they talk
it
about
adds so
too,
much because in World of
you
Warcraft
know,
it never happens, right? So you
no,
can
never.
definitely feel it in Elder Scrolls Online. Like, oh,
To
they're paying
on top
attention
of
to
that,
me.
like, there's so many other games where, like, you can be mid-conversation and just walk away from somebody, and they just are like, you know, like, they just stop talking or whatever, but the conversation tech that they've demoed for Squadron 42
Yeah,
is actually kinda funny, like, if you walk away from somebody when they're talking, they'll be like, "What the fuck?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and if you do that
and
too
it
many
will
times,
affect
they
you.
just stop
Yeah,
talking to you, like,
yeah.
you're just like, "You're an asshole." Anyways, that's
Speaking of
tangent, but
that, though, there's some things that you had really good experience with. I don't know if you did not pay attention enough, or maybe it was just different experience. There's some NPCs who like use their mobiGlass to take selfies and are
Hmm,
making this like pose or
yeah.
whatever. And I've seen like 20 of them, and I was like, okay, everyone's doing the same shit. And then there's one cough and one.
Dude, I role playing walked through that Javelin, and only one of those NPCs did
It
I
was so
see
annoying to
doing
me.
a selfie pose, and I was like, "Oh, hey, that's neat. I've never
Yeah, the
seen that
first one I
before."
saw, I was also like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah,
And then
and
I
it
saw
never happened
19
again.
more, and I was
Like,
like, shit.
see, that's weird, man. I wonder if that's like a server tick
Maybe
rate
that's
thing
what I'm
too.
saying. Like maybe.
Because
So
like same thing, like walking through there, like I was one of the things I thought kind of like added to it. Like you just hear like a cough.
first
I
cough for
heard
me, I
like
was like, did she just
yeah.
cough?
I only heard like 2 or 3 of those, and then, like, a couple comments like, "Oh, this is boring."
I
You know,
haven't
like,
had
I heard
that.
that I
I
think
wish.
twice, but, like, yeah, like, I don't know.
Man,
It's weird because for me, like, those things happened the perfect amount of times for them to make things
that's so cool.
feel interesting and alive, but not like, "Oh my god, that's the 47th cough I've heard from somebody, you know what I mean? So,
Dude, is it realistic to expect something like this in cities soon-ish? I think
uh,
I here's my
in the
train of thoughts. Like, I
mm,
think the first place we're gonna experience NPCs like this will be the new housing areas. What are the ones that they're always showing now?
oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
habitation, whatever mod.
the, you mean the ones down on planets? The,
Yeah, moons, planets.
what
Yeah,
are they called? Oh my god, what are they called?
habitation modules. No,
No, no, no, the, outpo yeah, outposts. It's just outposts, and
sure.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
outposts. Yeah,
something like that anyways,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
maybe. And, like, I don't think it's unrealistic to expect stuff like that from, from NPCs in the cities, and I don't think it's unreasonable to expect, like, a broader array of wild lines and little, like,
oh,
and stuff like
100%.
that,
What I'm saying is
but I think
soon.
ultimately, I
That
I
the
don't know about
preface was
soon.
on soon, like next
Yeah.
patch or so. You know,
And even then, even when it does come, I don't know, I think it'll still probably end up being something that's like, eh, I mean,
dude, it's
something where you
better
notice
than
the repetition.
fucking
It's better
standing
than
on the stairs
nothing,
and
totally. It's better, like, it's just something to make it feel more alive for sure. Like, I'll
there's a
take it.
guy who's selling like the new deals salesman in Lorville. He's good.
Yeah.
Like he tells you like, "Oh, welcome to you."
That's something more on the, like, near term horizon, according to the progress tracker anyways,
It's something you look at the progress tracker or roadmap and you're like, whatever. But actually, if you guys didn't go, don't be lazy. Go to that ship and you'll see why it does matter. It really matters.
mm, yeah, I agree. Let's see, what else did I do in game?
You had some crazy bugs, but I think I've
Yeah,
seen these
yeah,
bugs before. We talked about
I
this, the
I
Gladius
haven't.
one.
Um,
You probably
it's
forgot,
just
but I told you there's this guy that tweets about stuff, and he got the brand new Gladius, and he was like almost like burnt completely.
yeah,
We talked about it, so this happened to you, I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah, this is the first time it's happened to me, and it's literally with every ship I pull out. Like, every ship I pull out has holes in it. I don't know
It's
why,
wear and tear, brother.
but, yeah, it's just bugs like that. The other bugs, like I said, that bugged me were the fact that you can hear fireworks anywhere in the solar
Yeah.
system, but whatever. Flew around the Bengal. I mean, that's the other thing that's like, the new thing in this one, and I gotta say, like, I flew around it really slow, decoupled, kind of like matching speed with it, and I just like paid attention to a lot of the details on there and stuff. One, I cannot believe how many guns are on that thing. Like I feel like everywhere you look, there's turrets, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
I did
The
not catch
behavior,
Bengal yet.
the flight behaviors of it are a little funky.
Yeah.
And because it's with a battle group, like, it comes in and it's got, like, an Idris and, like, some hammerheads
Oh,
around
okay.
it, and some fighter escorts and stuff like that kinda fly in formation, but, like, the flight paths get a little bit wonky, so, like, occasionally the Idris will just, like, pitch up and do a little weird thing and then, like,
Oh,
keep
fuck. That's a
following,
server for sure.
but
Because they're like
yeah,
getting a back and forth like response probably of
but
coordinates.
yeah, it's cool. I'm bummed that you can't see into the bridge, but I get it, like, they do that with all their stuff
What
because
about
they
what
don't.
about the landing bay? Does anything fly in or out from the
No,
Bengal? Yeah,
no, all of that's closed.
of course.
Um, but it like again, it's another one of those things where the detail levels on it are just impressive, and if you just spend some time and just go slow around it, like look at all the things on it, it's a very detailed ship, and it's another one of the reasons why I am slightly disappointed at certain aspects of the C2 because
Mm.
where we are seeing all these other ships that are incredibly detailed, the C2 in
Different
some
group of people
situations.
working on it, man.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like when
all
There's just so many like things that are, but I kind of, in a way, well,
I
that's the
just
problem
wish
is,
Sarah worked on it, that's all I have to say, because she did a spectacular job with the exterior of the MSR. Like, the detail on that is perfect, I think.
she's
Like, it's
so
like
good.
yeah, like, you got these, like, awesome kind of, like, solid plates that really give the profile, but then you got these, like, exposed, incredibly detailed, like, components and stuff like that, and the Herc needed that, man. Like, it needed something. Like, the back is just boring. But anyways, whatever. The Bengal's cool. Go spend some time around it. You know, go slow and just like cruise around it and look at all the cool shit because there's a lot. There's a lot of neat shit on that ship.
I'm gonna send you something that she's working on right now, and I'm gonna show it on for those who are watching this on YouTube live. Moment you're gonna be able to see the picture of it.
Yeah, see, like that's look at that, man. Like
She's
it's
so
it's
talented,
sleek.
man, and
It's
not
sleek. Yeah.
not only talented, but like she lives and breathes like space vehicles. She has this vision. She's been drawing them from the days like she was a child. I know because I was watching her streams and she talks about this openly. She was scribbling spaceships in her, notebooks and whatnot during school, and she grew up into this amazingly talented, hardworking spaceship genius. Like, look at this thing. This is so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So
is.
yeah.
It's just yeah. It Yeah, it's just like and it's just like look at that too. Like it's such a perfect kind of like basic silhouette, but there's so much going on
Mhm.
there, so it manages to be like simple but like really technical at the same time.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
the Herc just isn't that, unfortunately.
It's not.
But
It does have that feel of Crusader,
yeah,
but it's
and
obvious
and
that she was not working on it.
yeah, and being in it is cool. I enjoy that, but yeah, it's way too maneuverable. Like I'm gonna echo Chegg on this one. Like, dude, that thing handles like a freelancer. And I know we share a lot of camera roll videos on our gossip section, but I'm gonna put another one in there this Wednesday, where he actually does tests with other ships in its class, and it is easily like hands down the most maneuverable ship in that size range by way too much, like way too much, even more than the Cat. And I gotta say, like the Cat already felt too maneuverable for a ship of that size.
True.
But anyways, so Cameron did a video on that. I'll have that one for you guys on Wednesday because yeah.
I gave you one more link from what she did, and for everyone to see, just like everything she draws, you just want to try it.
Yeah.
You just want to
Yeah.
fly it. And this is not
Totally.
for Star Citizen. It's just artwork for her. She just loves creating stuff like that. I know she's not listening, but man, huge fan of her work. Fucking amazing.
Yeah, totally. I
Sarah
don't
draws
know if
on
she's
Twitter. If you want to see a lot of her stuff, Sarah draws on Twitter. She's active there. She's using Instagram as well. I'm not, but yeah. I
I
will
don't
always, promote her. Like I don't care. She's such an amazing human being.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. She's been on a couple different podcasts too, like Star Citizen podcasts, and just a cool person. Just
Mm-hmm.
overall awesome person. I'm hoping I don't know where she's working now, but like I hope that if she's still doing contract work, that she eventually comes back to do more for Star Citizen because yeah, her stuff is top notch.
I agree.
Anyways, I think that's about it
That's it,
for what we
man.
did in game.
And yeah, we're done with like.
One more
Oh,
one more thing.
what did I miss?
Okay, so I finished my Javelin tour close to when it was supposed to undock and proceed to the next destination. So I decided, yeah, I'll hang around. It's
But
only
wait, do
5 minutes
they tell
until it
you?
undocks.
Do they
Yeah,
tell you that it's about to
yeah,
undock?
yeah.
I wish I was there for that. I
On
because
the
I was
screen,
wondering.
Again, it's on the screen. Like it'll close. It just basically counts down until it moves to its next location, and then they close up. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll get to watch like the docking collar
No,
come in and the
okay,
ship pull away.
I understand that, but if you're on board, will they
Oh, I
push
don't.
you out? You know,
They must. They must because they close the ship up, and it actually says closed on all the
what if you don't want to
information
get
signs.
out?
I don't know. They probably just teleport you. Would be my guess.
I
It'd
need
be
to
the
test
same as
that.
like,
Like, I want to see that.
well, you know how like when you're in your ship and they despawn it.
Ah, yes.
That's probably what it's gonna be. It probably just like spawns you in the space station. But anyways, I stuck around watching from the from the docking area. Yeah, that doesn't work so well yet.
Oh, it's
So
disappointing.
the docking collar doesn't retract, and then the ship just like grinds down through the space station with like sparks going everywhere,
Oh my god.
and it like just like boom, it just like hammers out of the dock, and you like it just knocked me back into the wall. Like I went flying.
That's because they did not
So
finish, docking in the dry dock. They need to work on that.
yeah, so that was amusing. That was how I wrapped up my
I mean,
my
docking
play
was
session
very
today.
uneventful for me today. I saw it dock and just like clip. That's it.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it. I wanted to see the dock go out and attach to it, or come back in rather. No,
you
no,
you
but it
being
just hammers it just hammers out of there so hard that it knocks you over.
you've been personally smashed by Javelin. That's an
I have,
achievement.
yeah. So, yeah, there we go. I guess
Okay.
on to the news then, hey?
Yeah. Well, some of the news we already talked about, which is Invictus, right? So if you're not aware of this, Invictus has started with the new patch 3.13.1,
If
and
you hadn't gathered that from the 2 hours we've
yeah,
been talking about it.
hasn't been that long, but yeah. And you there's free fly event. If you are thinking about trying Star Citizen, now is the time. Also, if you are thinking about buying in, there's there are two new packages. One is with the Aurora, and one is with Titan, Avenger Titan. They have really
The
nice
Titan
black and gold liveries. They're $5
the Titans
cheaper. Hmm?
yeah, okay, yeah. I was gonna say the Titan's discounted too, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't buy them except for Warbond, which is for fresh cash.
Yeah.
If you are getting into Star Citizen, please don't forget to use someone's code. I would just use Maso's code, which we're gonna add
Yeah,
to
mine's
this.
down below, and I'd
Yeah.
really like a Gladius, thank you.
So yeah, this will help you a little bit, but in reality, it helps the person whose code you use. If you don't use any, you're just basically stripping someone a free $90 ship, which sucks. So I've
Well,
had
you're also
people.
missing out on 5 grand, which isn't crazy, but, like, why wouldn't you take that?
I
It's
don't
free
know.
money.
I don't know. I just feel like that's not like I look at the World of Warships, for example. Like if you use my referral, we boy get so much, and over the time, like whenever you play, I'm getting points that I can use for loot boxes, and you get you get two premium ships, you get the month of premium time, you get like so many things. It's insane.
You know what? That's something we could talk about sometime,
Sure,
like, because the referral rewards are, like,
it sucks.
old.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like, there's not much incentive for you
nah,
as a new player. I mean,
exactly.
again, like, it's like, why wouldn't you take 5 grand UEC? It's
Because
not a
it's not
ton, but it's
it's like one delivery mission. Now we don't know how much money this will be
yeah.
when the game comes out, but I'll
Well,
tell you
and that's
something.
kind of that's the age thing too though, right? Like 5,000 that used to be for you didn't used to be able to buy things in game with that money. You used to be able to buy things off of the store. Like
Oh,
so it was called Voyager Direct. And you could buy like weapons and components and stuff like that that would get bound to your account on the store. If I'm not mistaken, you could use that money for that. And 5,000 UEC at that point was a lot more than it is now.
okay. So I did not even know about this.
Yeah,
Anyways,
ancient
I
history.
I know a couple of people from
Possibly
my
wrong, but I'm
community
pretty sure. Anyways,
who did not use it, And to this day, I have them say, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't use it or something like that." And it just it feels good. You're helping someone get something that is like pretty decent. And yeah, don't do it to yourself. Don't be that person. Just use someone's code.
Yeah.
Massos preferably. I don't need I don't need
Well,
any codes used. I got it already.
doesn't
So
have to be mine, but yeah,
I know,
yeah.
but just like use some your friends or
Use somebody's.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be there for the next couple of days. We're gonna have the event on New Babbage. If you're there, just follow the signs. You're gonna get there every 2 days. They change the ships. Because our sign now it's ages, but by the time you're listening to this, probably gonna be something else. You can rent ships for free. So if you go there and you see a ship you like, and you're like, "Holy crap! How I would like to fly this 1,000 euros ship." Come close to a ship, hold F, rent for no money, go and spawn it, and go have fun. All right. We had Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live this week, and surprisingly usually IC is what we like get a lot of information from. But this
Not
week,
the last not the last few.
but still was still more informative than Star Citizen Live. But I think this week it's like the other way around. Oh come on, it was Jeremiah
Oh,
Lee
yeah,
with
yeah,
like it
okay.
was just not
Okay, okay,
informative
okay,
at all,
okay,
right?
sorry. I thought you meant this I thought you were talking about this week. Yeah, I thought you meant,
This
like, this
week,
week's ISC. Yeah.
this week SCL was more informative than ISC, which was an interesting surprise. And I mean, to be fair, when I saw who's on it, I was like, okay, this has the potential. But let's go properly. So the first thing we had was Inside Star Citizen, which is about 10-ish minutes every Thursday, except for when they're not doing it. And to no surprise, it was about Scorpius, which is
Yep.
a new
Yes,
ship.
marketing video.
Yeah. Um, I mean,
Meh.
yeah, I'm not in love with this ship. You know what I have a problem with? It doesn't like. Wait, what's the manufacturer for Scorpius?
RSI.
RSI. Yeah, they talk about that, and it doesn't look like RSI ship to me. It looks more like Anvil ship. Like their cockpit and everything almost looks
Yeah,
like part of
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Hawk
When it
mixture of Hawk and something else.
when it's folded up, it legitimately does look like, it legitimately does kinda look like RSI. Like, it looks kind of Aurora-like when it's folded
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so there's something. So in general, this is a medium fighter or no heavy
Heavy
fighter.
fighter. Yeah.
It has X-wing formation of its wings that move a little bit when you like take off and land and whatnot. It has 4 size 3 guns for the pilot and 4 size 3 guns for the turret. That is completely new turret tech, I would even say. Something we haven't seen before. So if
Yeah,
I've understood this properly, like the turret can slide from the top to the bottom,
yeah.
which I think is them trying to make turret gameplay more fun, engaging, and useful, and I think it will fail miserably.
Good. Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was gonna say, like, I really think that's gimmicky, and I don't think it'll ever be
Mm.
used. Because again, like that would make sense if it were on a larger ship that couldn't just flip end for end as fast as a fighter can. You know what I mean?
And that looks like
Like
a very maneuverable fighter as well.
they even said like, oh, if for any reason, the pilot has to maintain course. What? Like what? like
Well, I mean, you
nobody's ever
can
gonna use that.
if you're trying to run away and you have distortion weapons on the turret, and then the gunner is just trying to like fend off whatever is chasing you. But whatever, these are scenarios that we are not seeing in the game now being useful, anyways. Maybe one day.
I guess in theory, like if atmospheric combat kind of gets to a point where you have to fly more like a plane, you know,
Yeah,
that could potentially be useful.
but then
I don't know.
probably you're not gonna go there with a heavy fighter, but maybe I don't know.
It seemed pretty gimmicky to me. I just I don't know. For overall, I'm not super impressed with the ship, which is a little bit unfortunate because I'm glad that it's RSI. I want to see more stuff come out from RSI, but yeah,
There's
I
some
just
things I want to talk about that as well, RSI brand and all that. But how do you feel about it being like they talked about like making an X-wing ship for they should have made it earlier almost like everyone has it and I'm like why do you need to have things that our franchises have.
I don't even know if it's really a franchise thing at this point, to be honest. Like that's what jumps to our mind because of Babylon 5 and Star Wars, but like I guess what they and this is something they talk about a bit in SCL.
Yeah,
It by no means is that particular configuration of wings unique to those franchises. According to this resource that Jared was quoting, there's like 29 other
but that's exactly what I'm saying.
science
There's
fiction references.
so why do you need to have one as
What it,
well, you know?
what it means is that basically it's a configuration that is interesting to science fiction creators. Not necessarily that they're trying to pull from one particular franchise, more that it's, like, kinda
Come on
cool to
man,
have an
of
X-wing kind of
course that's what they're doing. They're
well,
just immediately saying it's not that because that's on everyone's mind.
because that's something that they're getting criticized for.
Of course.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna defend them too hard about it because
Because look
I
at
don't know.
Aurora, man. Like Aurora is very original design. You know what I mean? Look at Constellation. We're talking about RSI. Never mind. But like, this is not a copy paste of something else. Why do you need to have a ship that looks like Millennium Falcon or X-wing or whatever? Just don't like that. I will
Uh,
always be on the fence for this.
I think that's it, right? Like at the same time as it's not for me. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't have made that because obviously there are a lot of people who really like it, and a lot of people who really like those direct references to other sci-fi franchises.
Should play those
That's
franchises. I'm kidding. Don't kill me. Yeah.
well, whatever. I mean, like that. It is what it is, right? Like I don't feel like I don't like to play games where there's direct references to other franchises necessarily, but I guess some people do, so I guess that's cool.
Another thing that
Um,
they had to defend
but
the
it
day after.
doesn't
It's
do it for me, that's
it's
all.
another fighter, dude.
I know, yeah, yeah,
Are you
yeah.
fucking kidding me? I'm like, do we need
Because
more
they're easy and
fighters?
they sell for $200 a pop.
Anything would sell, bro. That was like I listened to them like
True, but how much? And then compared to the amount of, like, work it takes, like, you could tell, like, the Scorpius is coming out is gonna be flyable in December, and it's because fighters are easy,
well they
like,
don't have
compared
interior.
to compared to the other ships, right? They take so much less work. So I mean that's why I think we're getting so many fighters. It's because they're like relatively low amount of development required and they sell well. This is where I need a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that as a reason. Just like there was something else that they talked about in SCL, but before we get that, we had more hospitals as you made a note
Yep.
here, which whatever. And this time it was New Babbage. I don't give a come on, man. And he was like, "It's been a month. I know you can't believe because they know they've been showing the same shit like every week, and we're like, oh god." Ugh."
Last week we saw a table in a hospital. So I don't know. Okay, I will admit, if you're watching or listening to this, yes, we're a little bit salty about this, but like,
Oh, it's
is
just
this?
been same two things over and over again for like 6 months now.
Yeah,
Hospital
yeah.
and
And
housing, and I'm like,
this is the trend. This seems to be the trend with ISC lately, which I find frustrating. There's like the primary the primary thrust of whatever they're trying to show off. And then there's just basically
filler.
filler of
Yeah,
stuff that we've seen a billion times already. I acknowledge that it could just be that, like,
That's what they're
everything's in
working on.
progress and they don't really have much more to update us on. So I guess there's that. It's just not particularly interesting to me. And again, I also acknowledge that if you're an artistic person who likes kind of paying attention to the art and stuff like that, that may be your thing. But for me, it's just like
I'm sorry, I don't
hospitals
care.
again.
I want to see this, but I don't want to see it every week.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? And actually, I think we mentioned this on a gossip episode a few ago. It's like when they were really hammering on about the outposts.
Yeah.
Mike said basically that he's sick of seeing it because it makes him less excited for them because he's seeing them every week,
Yep.
and
And
that
it's
and that
not that
is kind
much
of how it
difference. Like
feels.
it's the same shit. It's like one little
Yeah,
detail. Just
yeah,
wait for it. Show it once every 5 months or so, and then we'll be like, oh, holy shit! Look at this. This moved up. Like it's getting
yeah.
better. But I don't see
Um,
any progress if you add one table to it and like and
exactly.
the cloth or whatever the fuck.
A- and I would personally, I would rather see stuff that is more rough and like less polished. I would, if it's new, I'd rather see that than really polished thing that I saw last week. That's my personal kind of
Yeah.
opinion
I don't
about
know.
it. Like I would rather see stuff that is like barely off the drawing board, but it's new than
But
just
even
the same
sometimes,
stuff.
when they started with the housing and all that, like they were showing like little scribbles and we're like, "Oh, that looks cool, man," and it sparked
Yeah,
the conversation. But now when it's every week, it's like, okay, whatever,
yeah.
dude. No one cares about it anymore.
And speaking about posts, that was the next thing they showed.
Yeah, again.
More outposts,
Yeah,
but worse looking because there's these random pieces of ripped fabric hanging everywhere, which I don't understand. I
I
don't get it.
okay. I think that's like work in progress, kind of. Plus, if
Maybe, but
if
they're
this
everywhere,
is
man.
but well, first
Like
of
they're
all, I thought
literally in
it's
every
like
shot.
Daimar, right? I thought it's like Daimar, and then I was like, um sand, and all that. Maybe I've seen stuff like that in
Yeah, but
sandy areas on Earth, but then it's not. They actually sneak peek that it's one of the pyro plants, right? Because in
yeah,
the end, it pans through the window and goes out, and Jared is all like, "And this planet, we're gonna talk about it in next whatever quarter or whatever." I'm like,
that I
why
didn't
do we
mind so
need
much.
cliffhangers, man?
I
Really?
I paused it a couple times to be like trying to like, okay, what is this? What is this? What does this look like? But
It
yeah,
doesn't even look like it's like a tundra with lava, and like that's it.
yeah, it does kind of look like that. But I'm still gonna rant about the
The
about
cloth, I don't mind. I
the
don't know.
claw. No, seriously, go back and watch that segment. It's in every clip. Every clip they show has like some random piece of white ripped cloth that's
There
like
is a lot of
not
it.
hung well. It's just like thrown up there with like
It makes
why?
sense though. Okay, I'll tell you. Like in real life, it makes sense.
No, it doesn't. Not
Yes,
like that.
it does. Like random cloth around would, if you have, let's say you don't have AC and stuff like that. So you have to make, how do you call that, when the wind goes through your house, like from one window through the other and like goes through. And then if you have this random cloth all around, it actually like makes the wind circulate more.
You can do it way better than they do it though.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
I think this is just like they started adding that. Probably
go
that
look
was
at
not.
it.
Yeah.
They're all like haphazardly
It
hung.
looks
Like
bad.
somebody
It
just
looks bad.
like somebody just was like tack tack. Okay, it's good enough. Like
True.
I don't know.
Eh.
Anyways,
For me, it
anyways,
was meh ISC, but I've seen worse. Okay,
yeah,
since it's a new
I've
ship,
seen
so
worse.
it's kind of it's something.
Yeah,
SCL though,
SCL had a lot of info.
it had a lot of info. Some of the things were rough.
Yeah,
Okay,
so SCL was ships basically
yeah,
with John Crew and I guess an art like was he just an
the guy
artist
who
or was he like
says
the head of
that says a
vehicle art?
lot of but he says it in such a funny way. And now
Does he?
Jared is saying it the same way he does, and many, many more
Oh,
DHs. Like he has like really fast way of saying.
Hmm.
It was so strange. The first
I
time,
say that too, though, like a lot.
not like that, not like that. He has a very specific way of saying it.
Hmm.
I'm not even. I don't mind it. It's kind of cool.
I didn't
To be
notice it.
fair, these two guys are very, very good to listen to. I don't know if you agree, but they. I don't know. I think
I
that they're really not
Sure.
bad.
I kind of like he had some interesting stuff that he talked about for sure. Um, but for the most part, I thought that in a lot of cases, I felt like he said a lot of words but didn't really say much. Um, but yeah, no. Overall I was like this was it had some good info in it. Maybe not as much as I would have liked, but at the same time, I don't know. It's fine.
The obvious
Um,
highlight of the whole thing is that John Cruz said that ships that have wheels are
hmm,
supposed to be able to taxi
yeah,
around. And this is something we
that's
talked about earlier.
I'm
And
pretty sure that's new because at one point they said that that wasn't even planned. Like they weren't actually
I
planning that.
am so happy that he actually used the word taxiing because now he's playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've seen
Yeah,
him. And I'm
yeah,
telling you, man, he understands now how important it is to like land on wheels, get the parking, and taxi around, get to the spot, and end your flight. 100%. This has to do with flight sim.
possible. Yeah, possible.
Now they need to
I
understand
suppose.
how important it is to change lights to where they're supposed to be.
Oh my
Green goes red.
god.
That ship can taxi. Like it's important. I'm
um,
telling you, if so, here's the situation. I'm gonna fly 85X, and before landing, I'm gonna land it upside down. And if I get impounded, I'm gonna make a ticket to CIG because that's the way the ship flies. I mean, what the fuck? In that case, my starboard side is green, and that's it. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do it now. Like
I think this is 3 for 3 so far in the last 3 episodes that you've brought up the landing lights on the 85X.
they need to. How difficult is that to change? Oh man,
Well, go send it to Tyler. Message Tyler and be like, look, bud.
it would be one of my favorite ships. You know that? I love
Yeah,
that little
what
thing. I have it. I bought it
is a
in
cool ship.
game,
Yeah.
but I can't fly. It's wrong. It doesn't work. Wrong lights. It's
Just
stupid.
stay first person. Don't go third
I
person.
know that they're fucked up. What do you mean?
Okay. Okay. Then you gotta message somebody to change it. Like that's the only option
No, I'm
here.
gonna
Cause
start
like,
landing upside down and make clips and explain, and maybe that's gonna,
okay, try to get it to blow up on Twitter or something.
yeah.
Tag RSI. Yeah, anyways, so I guess continuing on with stuff that they talked about with everything ships. So this one was military themed, by the way. That's the other thing I forgot to say. So it's like ships themed at
Oh
SCL,
yeah.
but only about military ships because Invictus. Um, yeah. I think one of the major things that jumped out to me was that tech art, and this is something that I thought was really cool that the art guy there was talking about. Um, man, like I did not realize the level of optimization that these guys can do just from like tweaking the models and stuff like that. They Because one of the things they said was that um the Carrick right now uses 50% less resources than it did when they first released it. That's crazy. That means that you can literally have
Yep.
two Carracks in an area for the same amount of system resources as one when they first put that thing out, which I thought was really cool.
Yep. It is cool, and I'm
Um,
sure they can tweak it even more.
yeah, I mean, ideally, yeah. Um, I just didn't realize that they'd be able to get that sort of like those sorts of improvements, right? Like that's big. What else? Oh yeah, they fired shots at SC Leaks, which I thought was hilarious.
So I don't remember this at all. Like I saw
It
your
was
note, but
No, it was close to the beginning of SCL, and Jared basically it was when they were talking about how they can't really answer when dates or something like that. And then he goes, and everybody knows that we prefer to just
oh
announce
yes,
our new ship dates by having the data files leaked or
yeah.
something like that. Shots fired.
Sometimes he
Yeah.
does it very well. Sometimes it's like, but this time was good. Yeah, I giggled. I giggled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. When he was shot, when the last time he did that was against Fire, which I think was really
Oh,
bad. You remember? He was like,
it wasn't. I
"Oh,
didn't see
come
that
on."
as
He was
being
like,
against it.
"We take an hour of our work to do this video for you guys, and then some of you just watch a 5-minute video of it. Don't do that." And I'm like, "You,
Did he say don't do that? He didn't say
well,
don't do
like
that.
something like that. I don't know.
No. I thought that was just a shout out to Nubifier, to be
I don't
honest.
think it was."
Okay, well, I interpreted it like that. I was like, neat. Yeah. Oh, the other thing that came out of this that I have to kind of retract, something that I'd said, you should have bet me on this, man. I thought for sure we were gonna see a Kraken
Oh yeah.
this Fleet Week on Drake Day.
Oh, we both
But
thought that because the little
yeah,
plush toy. I was like, "That's a Kraken."
yep. But according to John Crew, the Kraken is not in active development.
But at the same
So
time, he's like, it's done, basically. So once they come back
wait,
to it, right?
did he
Didn't he
say
say
that?
that? Yeah, I think it did. Like, it needs some
I
polish
don't
and
remember
whatever,
that.
but like when they get back to it, it's not like far off from being
Okay.
ready. Something like that.
I didn't hear that. I thought he basically said, yeah, it's not being worked on. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen it in like basic low LOD form
Mm.
way back when, like when they first announced it. It was sitting on some landing pads out by the Hurston spaceport. But yeah,
You know
I
what
don't
we
know.
need? We need a
I don't
new.
think we're gonna see
We
it.
need a new brand.
Okay.
It's time.
Elaborate. Like just in general, just need a new brand.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, there's like 100 ships and all that. It's really cool. But like, would you only have this many brands? And this is something that that's what I said during the ISC that I want to touch on. So first of all, how many brands do we have? We have like under 10, sub 10, right? Or somewhere around that. Oh, we have
Kruger,
much more. Unfortunately.
Origin, RSI, Aegis, Anvil, Drake,
Wait, wait,
uh,
wait. I will just
Argo.
read them out. Wait.
Consolidated Outlands.
There's much more than what I said, but I would like to see more, honestly. So a POA, but I don't count like. Let's not count the alien ones, because I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Es-
Consolidated Outland, Esperia, which is also
no,
alien.
Asperia is a replica
Okay,
company.
okay. So Consolidated, Esperia, MISC, basically MIC.
Mm.
Tambril, not really because it's not ships, right? But yeah, Aegis, Argo, Crusader, Grey Cat, Origin,
Wait, is
Anvil.
Grey Cat a ship manufacturer? They
It's
don't
not
make
a
any
ship
ships.
manufacturer, no.
Yeah, vehicle.
Anvil Aerospace, Drake, Kruger, and RSI. That's it.
Hmm.
I think we can have more, man.
We probably will see more eventually, but I think they'll probably flesh out the ones that we have still. Like Argo will probably get some more attention.
Sure.
Robert Space Industries, man, like those guys have got like really, like only
So
a few
that
ships outside of capital ships.
just like they literally talked about how stressful kind of it is to make an RSI ship because it carrying Robert's name on
Chris's
it,
name.
and I was like, that sucks.
That does kind of
It
suck.
came out very
Yeah.
genuine. It's not like he was joking about it. It really felt like you have to
Yeah.
pay more attention to an RSI ship, which would make it much more stressful I mean, we all know or have an idea about how ship Chris
I
is to
get
work
that.
with, but
But the thing that weirds me out about that comment is that from what I've heard from previous dev videos and stuff like that, all of those ships go across Chris's desk. Like all the concept art does. And Chris
of
basically
course it does.
signs off on all of them.
But he's probably
So I
more
don't
picky when it's your.
when it's an
I
RSI
I
ship.
am a
Yeah.
character in the game. I am, And I
Yeah.
remember going there, not knowing how I looked like in the game. I had this weird feeling. And when I saw my character in the game for the first time, it's an NPC that you fight in the arena, whatever, in Pagan, well, Pagan. And I saw it, it's like this huge Minotaur with like, it just looks good. I was like, okay, I'm down with this. But I was afraid that I might be like, I might be like, I don't know. So there's something when you know what I mean? Like it's his name forever in this game. It probably does feel like more stressful to do. I don't know. Maybe it's just like
I guess. But at any rate, the RSI lineup, I mean,
more.
he's the one who slapped his freaking name
Yeah.
on the brand, and like, like they need more. They need
Mhm.
more in there.
Okay.
But
To just finish what I was saying about ISC is they there's some ships in the lore, and I really don't like what they said here because there's certain ships in the lore, and they literally said like, guys, there's ships in the lore. There's so many ships in this universe, and we're not going to make all the ships that we have in the lore. As in, not like specific ship names, like models. And I'm like, wait, what? That to me, that's so disappointing. I'm like, why do you fucking put the ship in the lore if you're not going to make it? And I'm
I
not talking about
I
like alien ships or whatever, but like
yeah.
a UEE something, Crusader Carrier, blah blah blah. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
okay, to me that makes sense though. And I think this is how they say it too in the show. They talk about how like, like if it's a ship that was like in service 500 years ago, it's maybe not even used anymore, you know what I mean? So why would they build it?
okay, so why do we have retaliators?
Because those are still in service.
No, they're not. They're being
Yeah, they
like
are.
found around the place, and civilians are using
Yeah.
it and whatnot.
Well, it's because you don't use the same,
It's the same
the
story,
same
bro. It's
retaliator,
a
but they're
500
still
old.
being manufactured. No, they're still being manufactured. The retaliators are 100% still
What
being
are Titans
manufactured.
still being manufactured? No,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not. No,
Yeah,
they're
they are.
not.
Yes, they are. Oh my god, yes, they are. They're
They're
still
not.
being manufactured.
Yeah, printed as JPEGs on RSI.com. No. And
In the
don't.
lore,
Come on, man. If there's like an important ship in lore, at least have it crash somewhere. Don't listen. Just don't put it in the put it in a placeholder until you have a ship to fill that role in the lore.
I don't know, man. I am 100% okay with them not building every ancient ship that they had in the lore because
Not the
I
ancient
want them
ship, okay?
I want them to like I want them to work on the ships that are in game and that we will actually see first. Later on down the road, if they want to put like old ship models in because they've got like an artist who has some time or whatever to do a wreck or one in a museum, sure. Sure. But right now,
Well, wait,
there's
wait.
too many that we need that we don't
We
have.
we are talking about Crusader Carrier.
Mhm.
How old is Crusader?
Not a carrier. It's a bulk freighter.
Whatever. How old is
It
Crusader? They call it carrier in that video. I don't know what that ship
Yeah,
is.
well, it's because it's a ship carrier. It's basically what they use to move their Crusader shuttles from their
Okay,
manufacturing plant and
sure.
deliver them. So it's like a one of those car carriers that you see in like on a
Amazing.
tractor trailer.
I want that. Anyways,
They
how
don't use them anymore.
how old is Crusader? It's like the
I
the
don't know.
newest company in the worst.
But the point is like they those Jupiters aren't flying anymore. They don't use them, like they've been since decommissioned. They're not manufacturing them anymore and they're not flying anymore.
The way they talked about this is like, come on, guys, we're not gonna have every ship in the lore playable, and I kind of felt like they are not working together with the lore team, where these guys are just like throwing ships that we will never see, and they just really felt bad to me. I
That
was
is
very
true.
disappointed with that answer, and it
Mm,
was almost
interesting.
like almost kind of laughing at people who expect ships from the lore to appear. And yeah, if I know about a lore and I know about a ship there, I might be excited about it. Guess what? Thank you. You gave me that lore.
If I had to guess at why they were kind of making light about it, I would say that it's possibly because I don't know if you remember, might have been before you started playing. So the RSI Zeus is like one of the first quantum capable commercial ships or whatever.
We talked about that.
And
Yeah.
there was a big hashtag on Twitter called "Bring Back the Zeus" or whatever, or something
It's
like
literally
that.
a space shuttle.
And so that was kind of a thing like a couple years ago. And I like that's how I interpreted it anyways, was like when I heard them kind of like chuckling about it, I was like, to me, the first thing that jumped to mind was like just how everybody got all on the like hashtag bring back the Zeus um thing back in the
But
day.
here's the thing. Like Zeus is, you can see it on the screen. So Zeus is kind of an antiquity at this point, but it's very
Yes,
important. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want this. I mean, I wouldn't mind having this ship. But
it does
you
actually look
know,
pretty cool.
this thing, I would be okay with having finding a salvage of this on some planet once, you know. And I can see them doing that like years from now, right? Like a crashed Zeus on Terra or something like that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like that's something that is really ancient, right?
Yeah,
But other than that, if you're adding ships that sound like something that would still fly, or then either don't put them in lore, or or make them pop off.
yeah. I think that you're right to say that there's probably some disconnect between the writers, because the writers are just going to write whatever they need to write to make the story make sense, right? Um,
Yeah.
and they aren't necessarily going to have time or be able to talk with the ship team every time they decide to come up with a concept ship that they or with the concept of a ship that was in the universe like hundreds of years ago or something like that. But like I don't know. I see where you're
Like in
coming
that
from for sure.
case, like
But
if it's in the lore and it's definitely like as old as like Zeus or something like that, then make it so that in the lore when you read that, you're like, oh, so this is, it has like a major flaw because something happened, they've never been used anymore, or whatever. So we
or
never
it's just
expect
been
that thing.
or it's just been so improved upon that like there's no reason anybody ever would have one of these things
Sure, but
working.
like make it clear in the lore that it's like that.
Okay, fair enough. What else jumped out at me from that one? Oh yeah, this was another thing to keep in mind as far as like for expectation management, which is something that we've kind of
Touched
talked
on,
about,
yeah.
yeah, repeatedly in our shows. So one of the things they pointed out was that if you see a ship stop on the progress tracker, so the bar goes until Q2 2021 or whatever, Q3 2021, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's complete, because what they explained is that like sometimes it'll be like we have these artists or whatever free until this date. So up until this date they can work on this project. But sometimes that the result is that they will shelve it afterwards and then come back to it at a later date, which I think is just interesting. Again, like something to keep in mind for managing expectations. If you're
No.
tracking a ship, what? What?
Well, fuck that, dude.
What?
That's another thing that we need to like read into fucking beans or something. What's happening? Why? Stop that
Dude, if
shit,
you're
bro.
if you're
Stop.
reading
Shut
in the
up.
progress tracker,
Listen.
no,
This.
progress tracker is
No.
not the release view. I'm sorry, it's just
It's
not.
not, but it's for you. It's for me. It's not for them, right? So this is something that tells us what's happening. If it's like, so that means that whenever you see a ship being completed, you're gonna be like, or not. It's just so stupid. It's just so
Is it on
stupid.
the release view?
Oh
No?
my god! Like, why not
Then
having
not.
that part of information as well? Like,
I'm
like you
not
know,
I'm
it ends there, and then like a little side note that says because they're working with something else now, we'll come back to it later. Is it
maybe.
like, you
Sure.
know what I mean? Like, why do you
Okay.
have to think about, okay, every ship on a progress tracker now is like, I have no
Yeah.
clue what the fuck it is. Like
Yeah.
maybe there's, so what? Then don't. don't
Well, but
fucking
okay,
put it there.
but
I
here's the
don't
reason.
care.
Like the reason this doesn't bother me is because this is one of the things they said when they unveiled the progress tracker in the first place. Like they said this about features too. They said don't put too much stock in when something is going to release based on the progress tracker. That's what you look at the release view for. And
Why?
if it's not on
Listen,
the release view, then it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be coming into game when that work is completed. That was
this
something that they said right when they put it in.
communication bullshit. Because guess what? They know if that's when they're um trying to finish a ship or not, right? Like now it might not be finished or not, obviously, because other factors, right? We're not getting into that. That's why we have release or map, whatever. But they know if their plan is to finish it until that point or abandon it for a period of time and then get back to it later. So why are we not getting this information idea? It, like literally, he with that sentence, he was like, "Don't worry about ships on the tracker."
Yeah.
That's what it. Then remove the fucking tracker. I don't care.
No.
Well,
I
fuck
wanna
it.
see when they're working on stuff.
What? It's
You don't look
so
at the tracker
simple.
anyways, why do you
It's.
care?
I do care. Why would I not care? So what? If you like it, that's it.
What do you
Like,
mean?
just tell me this. Wouldn't it be easier or better for you to know that tiny bit of information? What? How is this? How is this not? Like what
Okay,
I'm trying to say is like I just tell me. So this is not planned to be finished. We'll go back to it later. That's it. That's all. That's the information.
okay.
Would you mind that? You don't care
No,
about it?
no, they could do that, sure. But it just doesn't bother me because again, when I read the progress tracker, it flat out says, like and when they released it in the first place, it says just because something is finishing or looks like it's going to be finishing at particular date does not mean that it's coming into game then. That's what the
Sure, but these
release
are
release
different.
view
These
is
are
for.
different things, different reasons, right? So, but if
Like I see what you're saying, and it's not necessarily something that they couldn't do to be clear, in the future. Like this is literally just hit V1. It was V.5 like before. So,
this is just
um,
another tiny like uh thing on top of piled up, pile of shit that their communication with us is. A- And
mm,
and I see how easily it can be avoided, but eh, it's just
it's
easier for
not
them
meh.
not to say it.
It's not meh. And to be honest, like in this case, I know the guy who's working on it is Jake, and he's in the Captain's Table Discord, and they were actually talking about this not too long ago, actually, in Paul's Astropub Discord. Like Jake's pretty active in there, and on Spectrum and stuff, I'm sure. But he cares about stuff like this, and he does take this feedback. Like um, he's active on Twitter and stuff too, and yeah. So I don't think it's like a meh thing. I think it's like they're still building it. Jake's really involved with this kind of stuff, and it's cool to see him
Dude,
like when people are like, "Here's what would make this information clearer for me," and he just takes that into consideration. He's very clear that it
I
doesn't
think this
necessarily mean
was
they're going to act
taken
on it,
into
but
consideration. I think this was done on purpose. This is why it pisses me off. They don't if they said this was done on purpose so that we can not worry about it or whatever, fuck it. It's the way they do it. It is what it is. But if they're just like, I mean, don't worry. Like if the ship, if it ends here, it doesn't mean that it ends here. Of course, they know that it would be more readable for everyone if people knew that that's their plan to finish or to come back later. Come on, you
I
don't
think
need someone on Twitter to tell you that.
it's a mistake to make those sorts of assumptions. But could they
It.
be more communicative there? Sure. But I don't know. That did not bother me at all because again, like it's just been something that has been clear to me since the beginning. However, I will say, and this is one of the problems that CIG has with their communications, like always, it's that like oftentimes they'll put this information in like a video or something like that, and then it'll be 2 years down the road and the people who haven't been here for 2 years or didn't see that video don't know that information. So they're sitting there, perhaps like you going like, "Hey, what the hell?"
This is not that
Meanwhile, like,
situation, but okay. I know that's also a problem. I agree, but I don't feel like. Literally, I jumped in my chair and I yelled at the screen when he said that, and I
hmm,
told him to go fuck himself because that's for
interesting.
me it's very disrespectful. Because it's like I have to now disregard all this information about finishing anything in the tracker just because you don't want to add if you are planning to finish it or you're planning to come back to it later. And both are fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with people, pausing, one of the things and coming back to it. I have nothing against it, you know. But like you being lazy not to tell me which one of these two that makes it so that I
No,
never
but
know what
like,
it is.
are you fuck? That's why it's called release view. It's literally the second tab down there. If it's not on release view, then it's not planned to be released.
So
Period. Like that's what's baffling to me
I'm
is
not
like
talking about being
if
released. I'm talking about them finishing work on that or coming back to it later. Release is
well,
not even part of this
it's
conversation. I don't know why
pretty
we're talking about that.
obvious. It's pretty obvious that if it's not on the release view and it ends there in the progress tracker, then clearly it means that they're planning on coming back to it later.
If it's that
Like,
clear, why did they even talk about it?
what do you mean? You mean on the SCL?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know.
it's not that clear.
It's I don't understand how
A,
it's not. Like,
well, a lot of people see the end of the line there and they think that's it. It's done. And then they might release it or not for whatever factor, right? Obviously a lot of people came up with that question so that they had to mention this. It was a question in SCL in live stream, so I'm not the only person who feels like this. Sorry. And it just, to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, makes no sense to just not say that. That's all. I'm not telling them how to do the thing or when to finish whatever. I don't care. Like, that's their thing, of course, pace and everything.
well, then what? I just don't understand why it matters then. If
It matters
you
to me
don't
because
care
that's
if they pick it
communication.
up, if they pick it up and put it down, and we know that there's a release view, and what we're getting in the next patches, unless they
You
kick
want to
stuff
know?
out of it at the last minute. But
You know
like
why it
that's the
matters to me
thing for me.
personally, or it matters to me personally because that's the way you build trust between the developer and your, in this case, your funder, people who are funding your project. Because I get the full information and not, don't worry about it. That's it. Okay.
Okay,
We can disagree. I don't know. These little things, just like you don't care about the watermelon, I do, and this is our thing. Like, I really care about it. I think that's
I just don't think that they're. I don't think that anything they do will ever inspire trust in you. I don't think, like, even if they were giving, what they thought was complete information, I just don't think that would ever realistically be something that you'd be like,
it'd be
"Okay,
very hard for that to happen. That's true.
yeah,
But they keep doing things that make it more and more difficult for me to trust any information that comes from CIG.
okay." In this case, I think that one's like, yeah, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one because I think that's really minor, and also I think it's. I mean, you're right in that it did get asked in there, so I
Hmm.
mean, I guess somebody had that question, but to me, it's like literally, if it's not on release view, you don't expect it in game. Period. And if
Not
it
about
is
the
on
game.
release view, you don't expect it on in game for that matter. But yeah. Um the other major thing that came out of SCL was them saying, and this is something like it was literally just kind of like a sentence or like a paragraph. So this is going to need a lot more elaborating on. John Crew says that literally all the stats of ships are changing when they put in capacitors. I'm assuming in this case that we're talking about differentiating between light, medium, and heavy fighters. Um, so I think in primarily he's probably talking about maneuverability and stuff like that. But if they're literally doing that to all the ships, all these ships that we've been talking about being like too maneuverable and stuff like that, I'm really curious if that's what they're talking about. Like, is it just going to be fighters that they're changing the values of, or is it like, is that literally going to be like they finally go over the values of every single ship and like retweak them?
Well,
I
Jared did not do a good job, and again, because
didn't
this
follow up.
answer we didn't get any information. We got some jumbled up like things that is in Crew's head. Probably makes sense because he knows what he's talking about. But to us who are listening to this, just like you said, I don't know what this means. Like I can look into the
Yeah,
beans and like try and figure out what he's trying to say, but whatever I think of could or could not be true. Like it could be
yeah.
anything.
It could
And it's
be
so important.
terrifying,
Yeah.
or it could be awesome because this is what we've been kind of like wanting for a while now. And like he's right. Like what where this came up in the show was when they were talking about how medium fighters seem to be just like a why would you fly a
Yeah.
medium fighter kind of a thing, because they don't have that much more firepower than a light fighter, and they aren't that much more maneuverable than a heavy
Then
fighter.
heavy, yeah.
So why would you do that? Um,
Well, they gave two answers to this. One is
w-
the capacitor that we were talking about, but the other very obvious one that crossed well for me because I guess I paid attention to this um current like Vanguard issue where Vanguards, even when they're like extremely powerful and everything, they don't feel right because the only protection we have is shield, and then we go boom, right? So
right.
the very important part that we're missing in this equation is, well, two things. One is armor, and the other one is physicalized damage, which will change everything, right? So him saying the capacitors should change this, I just don't fucking get it.
Mm.
Like,
I didn't take it like that. I thought it was the way I heard it was not necessarily that the capacitors are going to change it, just that they're doing like a full on like redo of all the stats
sure,
when they release them.
but then
But
how does that affect medium, small, medium, large? Sorry, heavy fighters.
if if I had to guess, I would say that they're probably going to tweak hit points again, and they're probably going to tweak maneuverability values again. So what I would expect personally is that light fighters will probably be pretty much the same. Medium fighters will probably be similar levels of maneuverability, but tougher. And heavy fighters will probably be much less maneuverable and much tougher. That's my guess, as about what they're talking about there, when they're if they're gonna redo the values. Um,
By the way, just I just want to touch on something that I've seen in some YouTube video. They did something very important in the tank, Novatonk, where regardless of your mouse speed or whatever, the movement of the barrel is always fixed speed, right? So, and this is something we currently don't have in. So, for example, if I'm using a mouse in a Hawk, it's so much easier for me to like like accelerate. Mouse acceleration will be mostly usually faster than, for example, stick acceleration, and based on what or other way around, doesn't matter, but basically your tools will affect how effective your ship maneuverability is. And I think it's very important that the game dictates how agile and maneuverable some ships or in general vehicles are.
yeah,
So
as opposed to your control scheme.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
not
very
the case
much.
right now. This is all over the place. This makes the game feel very like if you play with someone else. When you're playing on your own against NPCs, you don't really notice this, but the moment you encounter PvP and or fly with someone else, in co-op or stuff like that, you see how different. You watch like three streams, they're flying the same ship, and you see how different the ships move. Not because of components, it's because of what
Mm,
what they're using to control the ships, right?
Interesting. I
So
didn't really
tank
pick up on
has
that.
this. It's limited to like tank itself. Doesn't matter. Like you can change whatever you want.
Right.
Which makes
So
sense.
is
Like
that
if
similar?
you're using a gun and you have like sensitivity set and it works better for you, that's fine. But then once you enter a tank, that sensitivity does not apply to your mouse anymore.
Similar to did you move the turret around on the javelin?
I I did not move it around. No,
Javelin, like, definitely, like, you can move your mouse around all you want, but, like, the turret turns at a fixed rate,
that's what I
uh,
want for everything.
for those heavy guns anyways. The lighter ones obviously are probably quicker, but,
Yeah, because
yeah,
let's take flight sim again. When you change even the same size, like small planes, for example, I'm using the same stick, but I can feel one plane being more agile than the other. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, and it's so fucking important to have the. And I think this when they implement this into every ship, well,
yeah.
that will change a lot. I don't think a lot of people are aware of this, but
I I it's been a long time, but I feel like it used to be like that too. Like, I used to be able to feel the difference between my
mm,
315 and my Mustang Delta.
you can still feel the difference. But something is off. Like,
Hmm,
obviously, if you go into Constellation, it will be right. It will be slower to turn and everything because the ship is limiting you to a certain right maneuverability, but at the same time, within that maneuverability, it's allowing you to. I don't know how to explain. It's such a weird feeling in the game that it's hard to explain. But
You are kinda right though, like, the actual, like, pitch and yaw rates in ships, they feel, like, really similar. Like,
mm,
it's even I if I hop into a Vanguard, I can feel that's a little bit slower than, say, a Gladius,
I think
but,
this is one of they never touch on this, but I think this actually is another which I never thought about this before this SCL. One of the pillars of positional combat, where in World of Warships there is like flat out positional combat gameplay.
yeah,
Your ship has fixed speed and your turret traverse is fixed, right? Now when you're in free look, you can use your mouse sensitivity to like turn around or whatever, but you can
yeah,
if you want to fire to the port side and your guns are forward, right? You will turn to the port side and you're looking there, but your guns are slowly lagging,
yeah,
and
yeah, I
getting to
have
their
noticed that,
position,
yeah,
right?
when you've watched you
Exactly,
stream
because
it a
it's
couple times,
fixed.
yeah,
That's the speed of that traverse, and that's something that I really want in Star Citizen. Whether I'm
yeah.
gonna get it or not doesn't matter. Um,
I think you will. I think you will, be
but it
honest, like
gives you it. You know what? It makes you respect the ship as well because you learn your ship
yes, yeah,
and
yeah.
feel more comfortable with that ship than with some other ship. So that we go. It's so that's so deep actually that I it blew my mind when I sat down and thought about this.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Like, okay, this is gonna sound stupid, but even sailing
Valheim.
in Valheim, like you learn, the differences in characteristics between, how a long ship sails
Hmm.
versus how one of the little cutters sails.
Rudder
You know?
speed and like the circle that the ship
Yeah,
turns at
yeah,
any given speed you will know because you can our brain can calculate speed if we know how how this happens and it
yeah,
works. We're built for that. We can understand this movement. And I
yeah.
think what we are getting in Star Citizen is not natural, so we're actually getting confused constantly and it makes it like less enjoyable.
I think you're right, actually. Now that you mention it, I think it's the lack of consistency
Yes.
from
Yeah.
ship to ship that makes it almost impossible to judge how a ship will handle based on its size, for example, or
Mm.
and things like that. To an extent, I feel like there's more to it than just size, right? Because like there's thruster positioning,
Oh,
there's
there's a lot,
um,
right? There's a lot of
you
little
know,
things that affect
mass
it.
distribution, yeah.
But it needs to
But
feel the same always when you're in Terrapin. It always needs to be, and then you get used to that, and you know how the turret moves, how your ship moves,
yeah,
how.
And I think you should be able to, like, I still think that you should be able to look at the overall size of a ship and get a rough idea about
Yep,
what it's going to be like to fly it.
for sure.
Um,
And
and
it's the
it's
same in World of Warships, right? Like some battleships are super fast, but they're still battleship fast. They're not destroyer fast, right?
yeah, yeah. You know what's a really good example of this? The Prospector. Actually, and now that I think about it, the Terrapin is too. Because when you look at those ships, like, they're not big ships.
No, but they're
They're
heavy ships.
small.
Kind of, yeah. They're sluggish.
They handle way more sluggishly than you'd expect, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
like
other
you
ships are too agile. It's one or the other,
possibly,
right? Yeah.
yeah. But for like that, the Prospector is smaller than a Cutlass, for example,
It's
but it
tiny. Yeah.
flies like it's a fucking, like Starfarer almost.
I'm gonna change the server. Give me. I'm muting you again, like as I speak. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's
I
not
think it's
happening.
gonna be better now. Huh?
It's not happening to me.
I know,
What's
but the recording will come out like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it's
But
better now.
but yeah, yeah, like, I that's definitely something they have to work. And you're right about too, like the MSR. When you look at that ship and then you fly it, it flies completely different than that ship looks. Like, as far as just
Yes,
the size of it.
and it could
Um,
be like power, but when you look at all the thrusters and everything, it just makes no sense. And
yeah.
let's face it, it's a beautiful, beautiful brick. Like it doesn't have any aerodynamics or reasons to like be agile at all. Now, not that doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
what's
Well,
moving it so
that's
quickly,
the thing. If you look at it and if you read the lore about it, like, those big main thrusters are supposed to be,
fast?
you know, and that's supposed to be where that ship gets the term quick. But, like, that's the thing. Like,
Roll. If you roll your ship, that's not your main engine. That's the thrusters,
exactly,
right, on the sides. So,
exactly. So yes, the MSR could be maneuverable, but you're going to have to learn to use where the power comes from in order to get it to maneuver.
and you need to see
Um,
those thrusters that are turning it, right? Because
yeah,
you don't really see a lot of power coming up.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean,
I
again, it's an alpha, so this is literally an alpha thing. That maybe they were thinking about this already, but we just maybe just
and
not represented in game.
maybe that's exactly what they're talking about when they're talking about, like, going back to,
Maybe, yeah.
redo all the stats, right? Because, like, ultimately the thing that makes the ship turn is a number that they plug into the thrusters, the maneuvering thrusters, right? Um,
That's what it is, right?
versus
It
the
has to
weight.
be.
Yeah. It's literally like center of mass, where the thrusters are, how much thrust they can put out, and the mass of the ship. And that's supposed to be the calculation that determines how that ship turns.
Mm.
Um, so ultimately, by tweaking those values, you should be able to get that kind of behavior. But yeah, I mean, honestly, even the light fighters, like a Gladius, does not feel like I'm flying a ship that weighs, like, what does that ship weigh? Like 20 tons, something like
A
that.
lot, yeah.
Like it's too twitchy. It doesn't keep any of the momentum because the thruster values on it to make it feel quick and like a light fighter are so high that it feels like it's just like a floating camera, basically.
But it's also us being able to tweak all those curves for example joysticks or mouse, and we're not
Yeah, but those
supposed to be able to do that. Like if you get into a ship, it has its fixed limitations and it has its own joystick. For sure you can
that's the
tweak it a
thing
little
though.
bit.
Like those that like if the thruster values are set properly, it doesn't matter what your acceleration curve is like on your controls.
I
Because
guess, yeah.
if it's,
I
like,
think
if the
everything needs to
thruster
be so much slower than what it is now, like 20% of the speeds that we have now, except for forward speed. That's fine, that can be very fast.
I just want it to feel like a machine that I'm in instead of like I keep saying, like a floating camera, Like,
That
this
would
isn't
do it. That would do it.
I'm not an FPS character.
And
I'm
sound.
flying a 30-meter long, tens of tons piece of metal around.
This is
Like
exactly it. Because if you're playing FPS game, let's say you play Counter Strike, let's say take the most played right FPS game
yeah,
where and you will see people playing in different screen resolutions, and they know exact like um uh, sensitivity of their mouse plus DPI, like everything is
yep,
calculated and they know it, and if they go from tournament to tournament they have the exact same numbers because that's what they're used to, because you are allowed to move your character any way you want, and that's
yeah,
FPS. Once you are
yeah,
in a vehicle, if I'm driving, Formula One car,
yep.
you know what I mean? Like
Now the
wheels can
restrictions
exactly,
exactly, yeah.
and
Yeah,
this is exactly it. Like forward speed is forward speed. I don't care about that. Like the power that your ship can make, fine, it can be like super fucking fast, but turning, rolling, pitch, yaw, like stuff like that, it has to be like 10-20% of what we have right now per ship in order for ships to feel more realistic and
that's it, and, like,
heavier.
I think a lot of it too is and I know they've played with this a little while, but a little bit, but they haven't for a while, and I'm curious why not. But they talked about acceleration curves in thruster delivery as well. Like when so the time where you push your stick over, like it takes time for the thrust of that thruster to spool up, apply force against the mass, and then turn the ship, and ditto on the other side. The thruster to counter that movement has to come on and
Exactly, which
push against that mass to slow it down.
in
And
literal terms it's literally lag, right? So things will not happen immediately as you input,
they
right?
they call that jerk
Sure.
apparently in
DP.
and they did a thing last year or year before. I think it was a year before, like this big thing about like how they're adding jerk to all the ships so that they feel more like they're like a machine, kind of like like interacting with real physics. And and it just I don't know what happened to that, man. They just stopped talking about it.
I'll
and
tell you
and
one
like
more reason why, and I know we talked about this so many times and I never used this as an example, but or reason. If you had the bridge and you could see your whole ship in front of you,
mm,
the movement of that ship would make more sense, and you wouldn't feel as if you are playing an FPS. Because every ship, fucking, you are in front of the ship and you're literally FPSing. Like you don't, like, in your head what's behind you and how big the ship is, but if you were at the back of it or in the middle of it and you can actually see your ship movement and momentum and all that, that would make it more heavy in a way and more realistic and all that.
yeah, you're not wrong. But I mean, at the same time, like modern day fighters are pretty much up front, and you still, especially if you're playing like a harder core sim or whatever, like you could feel, the that you are in a craft that is large,
Or
you
you can
know?
feel everything. You can feel
Yeah,
winds. You can feel, you can feel the
yeah.
weight. You can feel everything. And it's
So
kind of
I
funny. You
don't
can
know.
feel these things in fucking World of Warships, but you can't feel
Yeah,
it in Star Citizen. It's kind
you
of
can feel
crazy.
it in Valheim
You
from
can feel it in
guys.
Valheim. Yeah, the games are not even trying to like
And at
give
one
you
point you
that
could
part,
feel
but
it, you could really feel it in Star Citizen 2, man. And that's something that
um, I
I
wish I was there then.
yeah, like I wish that we heard more about this. I'm hoping that that's kind of what Crew was referencing with them like going through and like really tweaking values, but
Man, it would
yeah,
be
like
so much better if they did like SCL with like only explaining one topic that is very important like this and stretch it across the hour instead of Jared saying, "We have 10 more minutes, let's do the flash questions." Like, and then we
hmm.
get like half an answer that even the whole answer will
Is
not
that
give us anything.
is that kind of what calling all devs is though?
Nothing is
Like where
like
they
that. Like, nothing takes one thing and breaks it into, at least
hmm,
not now, since I've been
like a deep
following
dive.
it, right? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess
deep
that's
dive.
where the Man, okay, here's a YouTube channel idea. Like, go through dev posts and then like and turn those, because that is where I see like a lot of the focus. Like, you'll get somebody who knows a lot about something, you know, type out like a huge like multi-page kind of response to something where you get that kind of in-depth thing.
But
Yeah,
there's
like
so
yeah,
much inconsistency in these, like it that's the problem with Star Citizen is the tech evolves, the ideas evolve, and then if you listen to the same topic, if it would be deep dive, you will only get the idea of that moment, right? So
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it is what it is.
It is. The other thing they talked about, I guess that we already just kind of touched on, that's going to change like a ton. They talked about, they brushed across physicalized damage and time to kill. Um,
I was satisfied with that refreshed old answer that they're sticking to,
yeah, yeah.
which
I
is
just,
the ships are not supposed to just go boom. If someone
yeah,
destroys, like in like if they shoot your ship enough to like fuck it up so you can't move anymore, then they have to either board it or salvage it or something, and your crew, if it survives, it's there to defend their ship or abandon ship, like you know
yeah,
right
yeah.
now it's just dumb.
That particular, that does seem like they've kind of like they've stuck to their guns on that one as far as like what they're
Good, it's
planning.
very important.
It is. I just like, where is it?
About
That's what I
7 years from now, maybe.
You know what? Yeah, maybe. Definitely not this year, that's for
Oh,
sure.
pff.
Do
Nothing
they
this
even
year,
have it?
dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he said 2 minutes. I don't know how to feel about this because I want the game to slow down more in order to have like positional combat, and like at the speeds that we're fighting right now, which is more of like FPS stuff. 2 minutes is very long and satisfying. At speeds, if everything's like much slower, then 2 minutes is not enough time to. And then again, he said like 2 minutes, but even they said like it really depends on the size of the ship, the skill of a player, all that stuff,
The
so
gear,
which
yeah,
is
who gets
fair.
the advantage and stuff like
Yeah.
that, yeah. I
Is
mean,
it an
and also,
ambush?
like,
Is it,
they also said, like, it's 100% dependent on physicalized damage, and they don't have that in game yet, so, like, all they can really give us is, like,
an idea, right?
w yeah, like, here's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
We think that, like, if you have 2 highly skilled people going at each other with, like, similar gear, it should be about 2 minutes for a fight, which is really a
Should
long fight when you think about it.
It depends. If it's 1v1 in a single seater, yes. But if it's a
Mhm.
ship with like 10 crew members and it's 2 minutes fight,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
that's
no.
bullshit,
Yeah,
right?
you're right. 2 minutes if it were like, if it was like a like single seat fighters going at it,
Yeah,
that sounds like a good amount of time, but you're right, like, if we're talking multi-crew gameplay, the amount of time it takes to organize a ship to have
exactly.
a battle be over in 2 minutes,
It needs to
I
be
don't know.
satisfying, right? And well
Yeah, like,
invested.
that's yeah.
And then they
Anything
touched
else?
on this. Like there was this ridiculous question to me, but then I guess I was wrong because you did not think about this. Like, we talked about it. Where why use ships like the
Oh,
drop
yeah,
ships, right? Like why would when you can literally like you can have a clown car or
yeah,
van, whatever, and stick like 20 people in a 100 series. And they said, well, the first thing that they said, which I thought about as well, is life support or and how much oxygen your ship can produce
mm,
throughout a certain period of time. And the reason I know about this is because I did hiking tours. Like I would get like I would jump from a Tressler, and you can land for some reason on the surface of New Babbage, and I would try walking towards New Babbage, right? So, or I had this stupid situation where my rock would explode or fucking broke and or turn around, and then I'm gonna walk back to the outpost, and you start like figuring out how much oxygen you have, how many pins you need. And then I was checking how fast, when I get into the ship, how fast that oxygen comes back into my suit and all that stuff. So to me, this was immediately a thing, right? You will not have
Mm.
enough oxygen for that many people.
Yeah, that's not what I thought. The first thing I thought of was what they said, I guess, later, which was force
Yeah.
reactions. I was like, well, like, I mean, we're already starting to see that now. If you're standing up in the back of a Cutlass and somebody decides
Breaks.
to,
Yeah.
do some hard maneuvering or whatever, you're going to end up rolling all over the floor,
Yeah. And
breaking bones.
I wonder if some ships will have less of that effect because of how their tech is. But the truth about this is, unless we get hurt, yeah, people who are making clown cars, they don't give a shit about this, right? Like, they're gonna stick so many people in Titan, and they don't care if they're gonna get like shit
Tossed
gameplay
around.
feel
Yeah.
until they do what they need to do, which is like get out of the Titan and do something else. Um,
It
one
was
thing.
my im-
Sorry,
it
go
was
for it.
my impression that you could actually like, get seriously hurt if you're being like chucked around
That'd
a
be
ship
okay.
at
Yeah.
9 Gs.
The other thing
I
is
hope.
we can't walk through another person. We talked about this before the show, but we can't walk through another person. Like in some games, like World of Warcraft, you can walk through another character. There's no physicalized character in the game. So basically, and this is utilized a lot. Basically, like if I am a mage and I'm casting a spell that takes 2 minutes, sorry, 2 seconds, a rogue will walk through me and now will be behind me, which will interrupt my cast, right? So this is something that is
Yeah.
very much utilized. In Star Citizen, there was a really good MMO, Warhammer Online, where you had like dwarf warriors with like shields that if they stand together, they form a shield wall, and actually no one can walk through,
Hmm.
and because the character is physicalized in the world. And I think this is like physical limitation. If you have a small ship, there's only so many people that you actually can fit in. And then the other thing that they never
Yeah.
touched upon was weight, right? Like we
Right.
weight something. So if you have an Aurora whose thrusters can hardly lift the fucking little Aurora, right?
Yeah.
But if having
Yeah.
like 10 people fit into that Aurora, which I'm sure you can do, was piloting someone in the bed, and then 8 people probably can't cramp in. It should be able to take off if it's an atmosphere,
I
or
really want to see more of that, man. I
yeah,
know they've talked about how weight is going to be a serious thing to consider, especially dependent on the gravity that you're in. Like they've talked that's one of the reasons that they did that Argo tow ship was
yeah,
because they said flat out like there's going to be situations where the gravity on a planet and the mass of a cargo ship trying to take off from that planet
might be an
is going to
issue.
make it so, yeah, so you
Can't.
can't do it. So you have to get towed to
You need
orbit
help.
by an additional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
imagine this scenario. There's a there's a battle happening in the space, and you pass by with your Avenger, and there's like survivors, and you pick up as many as you can,
Right.
and then you fly into the atmosphere, and you start crashing because
Oh
your
no.
ship is too heavy.
Just kill everybody.
Yeah.
Bye bye reputation. You just murdered a bunch of small school children.
Like, because you probably, even if this was a thing, a lot of people would never think about it because they know how their ship reacts in the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa,
You're
I
gonna
guess
think
you'd
about it
start like
after
kicking
that.
people out, until you can like, even out.
Here you go, kid. Here's a parachute.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hope you have a parachute though.
Yeah.
Oh man, because I don't think we're supposed. Well, they mentioned parachute at some point. I'd like to see that, but like Titan suit is the equivalent, I guess. But Titan suit will be too heavy, like to have
Way too
multiple and
heavy.
shit.
No, they've talked about wanting they not parachutes specifically, but yeah,
Whatever gliding, you can have, right? Maybe those glide suits, that we have now.
squirrel suits.
Girl suits, yeah, that's so cool. That'd
Yeah.
be
Well,
amazing.
those you have to land those with a. Actually, if you look at there
We
was
would
one hundred eye concept
yeah.
art that had like glider suits
Oh,
in
I
the background,
remember. Yeah, next to the
and
body of water and everything.
everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Can we have those?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
said, "Not anytime soon." but it's not off the table.
That would be so cool.
That would be so cool.
Like I can't
You
wait, and this is the feeling of gliding through the air is so good. Like I can't wait. They announced they're gonna have a glider in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but we'll have to pay for it, and I'm gonna fucking pay for it. Like I want that.
hmm,
Non engine vehicles flying is just it's such a crazy feel because you have no power over it. Like you have to utilize the air and all that. It's like, yeah, that's a
yep.
tangent, but yeah.
Can you ima I mean, okay, 10 years down the road or whatever, I just think it would be, I don't know, really cool for there to be reasons to want to go and do touristy things like that in Star Citizen, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like going to this planet so that I can do crazy hang gliding, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or
it'd be
gliders too,
amazing. And it
you know?
sounds like it's something that is not that difficult to do. And there can like here's the thing, like if you have, let's say you have reputation being a tour guide, and at some point you can actually buy gliders and then you can rent them to people that jump from your Phoenix, for example, or 890, you know what I mean? There you go. Like, you know, we were talking about luxury gameplay. You can there's like it can be so many things. They're not that
I
difficult
never
to
th
pull.
I never thought of the whole, like, tour guide
Oh, I did
aspect
because they
of
talked about it, man.
of, luxury gameplay.
So
Huh. They talked
I
about it? When?
yes, when they announced the space whales. So I applied. So I used to be a photographer on board, and then I always wanted to work in the theater, but it was so difficult to get into that, and it was closed circles and everything. And then one thing that I applied for was tour guide for Royal Caribbean. And when I started playing Star Citizen and I saw 890 jump and 600, I was like, holy shit! I would do a tour in this, like fly people around and tell them about the planet or whatever you're flying around. And then Space Whales came out and they literally said you will be able to take tourists, take them into a cloud where you can see space whales, for example, and then present this to them and then fly back. So what if like only if you have certain reputation in that gameplay you get the ping to where the current the whales were last seen or something like that. You can really make these things, like,
You
honestly,
really
and
could, yeah. So you have to get reputation to a point where you can actually, buy your own license too, right? So,
something like
like,
that, yeah.
maybe you have to start out, like, flying for, like a tour company or something like that,
Or like you
you
can
know?
you can literally start
Do
by
some missions.
flying luxury ship from point A to point B, for taking people from point A to point B to, like, further down the road be able to have your own luxury ship
Right,
and then
right,
make
right, right,
tours.
okay. So, like, tier 1, luxury gameplay is basically limo driver.
Yeah. Yeah. Uber.
And then you can kind of move up and be like, "Oh, now I'm flying for, like, a high-end tour company."
Yeah.
And then eventually, when you got a high enough reputation with whatever board
and and
in or organization, you could buy a license so you can actually run your own tours.
And you can do this in PvE, man, as well. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just give you one example.
No,
Like
I was fully thinking PvE there.
you
It
have group of people on board, and then you go to a location, and then a game gives you like four different answers possible, and one of them is true. So if you click on the wrong answer, you give these guys misinformation, they give you bad rating or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I believe in creativity of CIG. If I can come up with these like simple ideas, I'm sure like their game designers can come to
Yeah.
something much better than I can come. I'm not like this is my genuine, honest opinion. I think people who are daily brainstorming about possible gameplays. This is why I said like I'm sure there can be very very interesting luxury gameplay for those who love
Okay.
it.
I
Way like down the
I
road. So.
I hadn't even considered that though. So, I don't know, that's
Pretty
interesting.
cool.
Like, I never even anticipated that as luxury gameplay, but I guess it's like, I don't know what it is. Hmm.
All right.
Um, that's SCL, I guess.
Yeah. So
There
so
was stealth as well, but eh. They basically just said that, like, stealth as it is right now is going to be really different with the new
But then when
uh
they explain it, it kind of
command.
sounds like it's going to be the same.
Like, yes, but also yeah, so they said, like, it'll be the same, but they're gonna redo all the values and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So, like, how
it might
like,
feel better.
yeah, exactly. Like, it'll be hopefully more clear as far as, like, what's going on, and then it sounded like to me too, like, there would be more of a difference,
Do we
between
want
ships and
cloaking
clones.
in this game or not?
I don't know, I'm okay with them basically saying no cloaking.
But are you okay with them saying yes cloaking if it's like proper? Let's say you have a cloak, but you
Yeah,
can only fly
yeah,
10% or 5% of your speed cloaked for a certain
you
period of
know,
time and
or
can't be
you're
detected if you're too close and stuff
exactly,
like
yeah,
that.
like, or if you get pinged, for example, and you're
Yeah.
within a certain range or
I mean,
something
it can
like
be
that,
done properly, and
yeah,
or it can be done very, very bad,
totally.
right?
But stealth in multiplayer games has been done so many times that yes, like, if they decided to do a cloaking, I'm sure they could probably do it and
People
have it
love
work.
sneaking. Just like
Yes.
players love sneaky characters.
Yeah. The problem is that I find that I'll just use the MMOs that I've played, but most of the MMOs that I've played with a stealth where you stealth and you're literally invisible until somebody gets close enough to you or whatever. So those don't really inspire people to be sneaky. Like, some people do, some people get it immediately, and even though they're invisible, like, they're just better at being sneaky because
Yeah,
they can
true.
think like that. But most people are like, push the stealth button, I'm invisible, you know, and
True.
and and it's not like
There was a time in World of Warcraft where you could actually see the like hardly, but you could see the rogue. Like you can see through the rogue, but you can see that something's wrong there.
hmm, I don't
That's
remember
how
that.
StarCraft does it as well. Like if you are playing Dark
Yeah,
Templars or something, you can see
yeah.
them. There's
You can see the little
something
ripple when
fucking
they move.
strange there. You know what it is, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
right. And the hunters now, I think, even if they use camouflage, if you pay good attention, it's hard but if you see it, you're like, oh shit, run! There's a hunter. You know.
Interesting. And is that in classic or
No, no, it's in retail.
huh, so that's how they've interesting, because it definitely didn't when I was playing, it's like if you're stealth. Like,
Rogue
you're
for
invisible until
most of
somebody
yeah for most World of Warcraft it was just invisible. But I mean, there are ways to and there's sound. Like there was always sound. Like if a rogue is nearby, you hear that sound of them. So you have
yeah,
to
yeah,
play
yeah.
PP with sound, and you're like, oh, that is such a it's a disgusting feeling, man. It's like a feeling of fear. You know, it's there somewhere, and then you
Yeah,
see people like throwing flares, novas, blizzards,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the rogue is like sitting there and be like, yeah, okay, keep going.
yeah. But I will say that I don't know, just to go double down on that effect of, like, when you are actually invisible, I think it makes people lazy,
It does, yeah.
with stealth, and I think that the way that they're trying to take I know we've already talked about this in a previous
Hmm.
episode. I think that the way they're trying to take it is an interesting way to take it,
Like mini game
and
almost.
yeah, and because if you're balls at being sneaky, it doesn't matter if you have all stealth gear on, you're gonna be spotted. Like, I like the idea that you actually have to be sneaky in order to be sneaky. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah,
Yeah, and also like I mean, how do you not see a ship of a size of Eclipse if it's in front of you? You know what I mean?
well, that's it, right? Yeah, exactly. You know, um, that said, from
But
a
if it's in your
realism,
butt, like you can't fucking see it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. If we're talking realism, then if you have a shield system like we have that can block laser blasts, you could very easily tune that to just bend light around you, um, or absorb it entirely. So
Even Mythbusters made this with like some time ago with like cameras and screens.
yeah,
and then you just have cameras on one side, screens on the other side, and you don't see a man going because it's like real time stream what's on the other side. You're done.
Yep.
So obviously,
Yeah.
it's doable even now,
Yeah.
especially for
But
some alien ships. I would think. Oh, that'd be cool if like only tavern ships have stealth,
oh, or like
right?
true cloaking or something.
Yeah, because they use micro cameras and their cockpit is already dead, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's what it is. So you have a whole ship in that cockpit,
Yeah. There's no reason that ultimately there's no reason why that wouldn't be possible. I think it's
it's just a
again just kind of
gameplay.
one of
Yeah,
those it's
if you
yeah,
want
that's
to
the
gamify
game
it or not. Yeah,
where they're just saying, "No, if you're gonna be sneaky, you have to
you got
learn
work
how
on
to
it.
be sneaky or you're just gonna get spotted," you
Or
know?
you can do that like like if let's say if you have a tavern ship that can cloak itself completely, but it can only do it for like 20 seconds because it runs out of fucking capacitor energy or something.
That's a thing, yeah.
You know, it can be done in
I
so many ways, dude. I
I
I
still think
trust them in. See, there's something that I trust. See, like I trust them in making good gaming loops, 100%. I don't trust their immediate information, but I believe in CAG in these things. I also believe they can make really good decision with like stealth gameplay if they want it. But even if they don't want it, but have a good reason for it, that's cool with me as well. Like, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of of two minds there as
Sure.
far as, like, my trust in them
There,
as we've kind of discussed about,
there's some
some of the
boomy
comments. Yeah,
ideas there, so that's a
some of
problem,
the
right?
comments made by Richard Chire has made me go like, "What? What game are you playing?" But but yeah, I don't know. Like, you're right. There's a lot of people there, and I guess one of the advantages of doing things as we're doing it right now is that if they put it out and it sucks, people are gonna yell about it and they'll change it.
Yeah, I
You
don't I
know,
don't agree with
that,
that though, because people will yell about anything. You
it's
can't just
true.
change
I'm
it, no.
well, yeah, but like for example, like hover mode is the prime example of this. It came out and it was not ready, and they took it out because it just made the game
Yeah, but
miserable for most people.
what we have right now, is that good? I don't know. I don't like it.
No, it's not. It's yeah, it's not. But even they'll
I mean,
admit that.
I'd rather them not remove horror mode, but like worked all this time on it, and now it would be fucking good.
That was what I thought, yes, and I'm hoping that that's basically what's cooking behind the scenes, but, yeah.
You don't think they would say that? Maybe I don't.
They've mentioned it a couple times that they're not happy with it and they're working on it, but we haven't heard any
Oh, okay.
specifics for, like, 2 years? No, a year? No, maybe 2 years, I don't remember, yeah.
There,
But anyways,
we'll see.
that was the last thing I think in
This is today's episode. We went through most of it now.
yeah.
We knew we're gonna have a lot to talk about
I
in
don't think I've
news.
ever seen us I don't think I've ever seen us put a full page
Yeah,
of notes in just
it was an
what we
eventful
did
week,
at
and
gaming
I'm happy for it.
and news, yeah. More than a
Um,
full page.
so the topic is very light and Imagination Station. The topic is Star Citizen Invictus launch week 2951 join the fleet, which in reality what this is, I just want to talk about again a video that Star Citizen has pushed. That's the name of the video,
Mm, right.
which is the video that came out with the Invictus, which looks like some other game.
Yep. Um,
I was streaming when it came out, and Rev brought it. Part of his member of my community, and he was like, "Hey, check, they launched it." And I watched it. I stopped everything when that happens with you. No matter, I don't even think I wasn't playing Star Citizen, but when Star Citizen comes up with something like this, I stop whatever I'm doing, and because I know that this is my main thing, right? And I'm like, okay, let's watch it. And I watched the video. I didn't say anything. Um, it's a great video. It's
yep.
an absolutely great video. It looks
It's a cinematic.
amazing. Well, yeah, but it's not sold as a cinematic. That's the problem. It's sold as a gameplay. Again,
You think
again.
so? I don't
Yes.
know, man. And the reason for me is that, like, we
Mhm.
had a similar cinematic last Invictus. So for
Oh
me,
no, 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 no.
I watched this just as a video. I didn't watch this as like
It
a
was
this
not the
is Star
same. It was not the
to
same.
me like, the difference between the, like, what is Star Citizen or whatever, like that, and then this, to me, those are 2 very different videos.
To me, they're not. And
Mm,
I'll tell you why. So the last Invictus, I didn't have much problems with it. It was flybys. It was a story of a
yeah,
squad that does something. It was more of like a little story that is being told that connects to Invictus and why Invictus exists. And it was just like showing F8 Lightning, and it was not
yeah,
lying really. It was just flying around in these ships. That's it.
yeah,
This video shows you the map of the universe, the like
mm,
planets that look amazing, tech that is definitely not in the game, and it comes like keep this in mind. This is coming at the same time where new players are being drawn in for free to try the game. So this video targets potentially new players, and it doesn't tell you, hey, the game does not look anything like this, right?
mm.
It,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least if it's during a free fly, people are gonna download it, try it with no money, and then if it doesn't meet their expectations, they can just not play it anymore.
Yes, that is 100% true. And we just go back to how do you start your relationship with your future backer slash player? Do you lie to them or do you what you don't? So here's my problem. Someone CRG has acquired obviously some new very talented animators and artists. And the first video that was mind-blowingly well made was the MSR two-part series. That is a Star Warsy one. That obviously you could see a difference. Like up to that point, they were good, right? The commercial videos and all that, they were very good, and I loved them. I love them more than these, to be honest. But these are like short animated. Like these are, wow, these are much on such a different level. So we had the MSR ones, and then we had What is Star Citizen, and then we had this, and it's like it's just not true. And you had the reaction from people who play the game on Twitter, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in our Wednesday episode,
Mhm.
where people are like, "Holy shit, what is this game? I want to play it." You know?
I don't know. I guess it never hit me that way because like I watched this and I was like, "Oh, this is obviously a cinematic." Like to me it was like it was
Because you know what's in the game. Try
well,
to
but
look at
even
this
like
as someone who doesn't
here's an
know.
example. Like here's a comparative example. Like when we saw the trailer for Dangerous Odyssey, you know, with the space legs, that video, like
Yeah?
I watched that and I was like, well, that's obviously not gameplay. That's a trailer. It's a cinematic.
No, but it
Like,
is gameplay.
but it's so not.
No, no, it is.
Um,
It literally is. It just edited so that it looks, but it's literally gameplay.
did
It's
them
literally
get
recorded within
actually
the game.
really?
Oh yeah,
Because even watching that, I was like, this doesn't look like gameplay. This looks like a cinematic.
it can look right
And
like that. I'm
and
not
even
even
if
kidding.
it's even if it's filmed in game or like done in engine, which obviously this
No, no,
video
no,
is
no,
too.
not done in engine. It was done in game. The game can look like that for a short period of time. What they're selling to you and lying to you is the idea of the game always being like that. So
Yeah. Well,
they're guilty of lying their
yeah,
player base
but
big
again,
time.
like I didn't feel lied to there either because again, like I saw that and to me it was like very obviously not what the game was actually going to be. Like even if it was edited, even if it was actually done in game, to me when I watched that I saw cinematic.
Well, we
And
need to
that's
we need to find some other thing because obviously you misinterpreted that thing
maybe, but
because they
even in this
literally wanted to tell you this is the game, and to a point where they did it in game, not engine. I'm talking like in game. like those two guys walking and then the coming, above the edge of the
Yeah.
mountain, and then seeing their ship down there, and that's what it is. Like you can have these moments in Elite Dangerous, 100%,
But
especially now.
even, like, the pace of the walk and stuff like that seemed like very much
But you
like a
gotta try
character
playing
that
that
was
game.
animated in game. I don't know, I don't want to. I
I
mean,
mean, I don't
I
want to
have it.
play it anymore. I thought I'm gonna buy the Odyssey, but I watched some streams and YouTube video. I watch a lot of YouTube videos about it, and that's how the game looks. It
Yeah,
just in the moment with music and everything, it hypes you up, and it's like, oh, I want to play this. But in reality, it doesn't really feel like that because most of the time you're
yeah.
you're you're flying through the JPEG. And
But that's the exact same anyways, like, that's the exact same way that I saw this. Like, to me anyways, like, to me, it just
sure,
looked like fancy video. I was definite at first, I was a little fired up when they were showing the star map, and I was like, "Where is that star map? I want that one."
yeah,
Like,
it's on the web page.
but but, um but yeah, I don't know, for me, it was just like, I was just it's a trailer. That's how I watched it. The same as the
Cool.
last Invictus video, but
I'm glad it did not affect you the way it affected me.
the w
Um,
the way
and
that What Is Star Citizen affected me,
yeah,
like that to me was a blatant lie.
to me it's the
Absolutely
same. To me,
blatant.
this is the same. This is just a continuation of
Mm,
them blatantly lying to potential players. Because
mm.
what is Star Citizen did not make me think that that's what Star Citizen is. It's what make maybe a potential
But
new player think like that.
but again, like, to me, this doesn't really seem like a new phenomenon. Like, every time I watch, like, an E3 trailer or something like that, I know what I'm watching is a trailer.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not getting gameplay,
See, that's what
and
I'm not watching it anymore
hmm,
because I'm sick and tired of flies
I just like
everywhere. That's like new
fancy
normal.
animation.
No,
You know,
well, no. If I watch a gameplay trailer for a game that I'm
mm,
supposed to play,
that's a little different. If you're gonna call it a gameplay trailer,
that's what it's
you know,
selling me the game. It's telling me a promise of what I'm gonna feel like when I play the game, dude.
does
That's
this
the
say
idea of
gameplay
it.
trailer on it, or is it just a
No, it
hold
doesn't
on?
say anything.
Yeah. See, like, yeah, I don't know. Though actually, it's kind of funny. Like, the video I sent you where they Riley from Linus Tech Tips put out the his review of Star Citizen or whatever last night. One of the
Yeah,
things he actually talks about, like, about halfway through, and well,
yeah,
obviously we'll talk about this on Wednesday, but
yeah,
he goes like, and then randomly you release this video called "What Is Star Citizen" or whatever, and like that is not the game.
yeah.
And he just like looks at the screen. He's like, "Stop it!" Like,
And I'm with him. Like he got points
yeah,
with me when he said that because why are you doing this? Because I can only see two reasons why. One, trying to deceive people to spend money on something that is not the product, or you have these extremely talented artists that are trying to prove themselves, and then CIG is like, well, we gotta publish this. It looks so good. But then in that
but
case, just add a line of text at the beginning and at the end, in white letters that says, "This is not a gameplay footage." That's it. You do that, you bought me, man. I love you guys. Then these will be my favorite videos, dude.
you said you liked the old Star Citizen cinematics, like the ship commercials and
The
stuff like
ship
that.
commercials. They're not selling me the gameplay. They're selling me the ship.
They're selling you a ship, and they're showing you gameplay with that ship that is in no way
Yeah.
what it is in the game.
They don't show me gameplay though.
Sure, they do. Watch the old Cutlass commercial.
That old Cutlass commercial is like the worst one of them all to me.
Watch the Misk Freelancer video. Same thing.
That's so
Uh,
old, dude. That's so fucking old. Watch this. They
okay.
changed that. These are not the ones I like. I don't like these at all. I like the 600 die. Watch, like, that's crazy. Look at 300 die. The new one. You know, Consolidated Outland ones. It's like they're not Kruger. Look at Kruger.
The
It's like
300i, the new 300i one, they're flying through a bunch of environments that don't exist.
they're flying through Area 18. But
Not only
it's
there.
not like, oh my god, this is the game. It's like, oh, look at this ship, right? It's the So the difference with
Okay.
this is it's like this blew my mind actually because this is in-game branding And what, when you're buying a Mercedes, the things that you see on the billboard is so much. If you're buying a Big Mac in McDonald's, holy shit, dude, it looks so tasty. And this is the power of marketing. I hate marketing for this because it's telling you a lie. And then if the game is like, it's so realistic, they're in-game companies making this commercial. There's, you know what I mean? Like, that bought me. It's how much it looks like a fucking real life commercial for a car or McDonald's. But but this to me is completely different, because with this you're trying to bring people to play the game, and this is how you present the game. But then when they get into the game, that's not what I get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see that for sure, and that's why, but yeah, just for me when I watched this, I was like, "Oh, this is like a military recruitment video, just kind of like
Sure.
last year."
And
But
and this is
yeah,
exactly like when I watched it, I took like a minute, didn't say a word, and then I said, okay, I love the video, it's great. And I hate the fact that it lies to the new player. A- And that's the thing, like you're not a new player. You're not being affected by this in any way, right?
true.
So to me, the only thing that needs to be done is like, this is not the in-game footage, or this is the idea of what the in-game footage will be upon
Right.
release. That's it. I'm done. I'm sold. I love you. Like, I'm gonna talk about this all over the place. Tell other people, like, look at what they want to make, man. And then if someone asks me, is that so? Here's the difference. If right now, if someone asks me, this is this how Star Citizen is, I'm gonna tell them, hell no, it's not like that. I'm sorry, but that's not what it is. But if they said this is not what Star Citizen is, and I tell you, hey man, this is what they're aiming for, and you're like, yeah, but is it like that? And I'm gonna be like, well, it's not yet, but there it does feel sometimes
But
like
it
it,
could end
right?
up being
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
it has a potential to be like that, and it's such
Which
a
was the
different.
conclusion.
It's the same fucking video. The conclusion
Yeah.
is their communication is shit.
No. Well, yes. No, I was gonna say this. That was what the conclusion of Riley's video was. Basically, he's like, "Is this game the best game now?
No,
God, no.
yeah,
Could it be?
fuck
You
yeah,
know,
it can be,
yeah, it might be. And for
might be, yeah,
$45, like like that's a good bet. You know.
yeah. I just like the same fucking video that can make me feel so good about it and so bad about the studio, right? And the
Mm.
way I would share this with other people, where now I'm like, motherfuckers lied again to the new backers, or I could be like, oh man, one line of text on it, where I'll be like, oh man, good job, CIG, dude, this video is amazing, and you're not lying to people. That's all it takes for me, dude, and I love it. And that's how they can gain my trust back. Not that they care about my trust, obviously. Don't get me wrong. I'm not living in this weird dream where CIG cares about like what I think about them. No,
See, but at that point, like, too, are they bucking industry trends? This is what I'm saying. Like right now, I think like I don't know if I can fault CIG for this specifically when the general trend is
what
basically to
I
do
am
this.
paying CIG not to be the general trend, you motherfucker. We talked about this so many times.
Yeah, still, I
I don't
mean,
want them to be
and
EA or Activision. I want them to
yeah,
be CIG. That's why I'm paying money to help them build
and then the
this.
other thing is that typically, and I don't know if they're doing it now because it's been a long. I will admit it's been a long time since I watched something from EA or sorry, not EA, E3, or like you know
Yeah,
Gamescom or
I
something like
know.
that. But like, you remember how like all the trailers used to say like actual
Actually, in footage, they
engine,
had to. Yeah.
or like in engine, you know. So that they have to do that if it's that, but they didn't say
Can I
that.
tell you
So is the
why?
implication that they don't have to?
No, it's an alpha project and it's not a finished product, so they're not.
Oh, so
Right?
they aren't
It's another
actually
thing where
right.
we go back to early access because the rules don't apply. 'Cause you're under construction, so it's already in the title. So you can now talk about whatever the fuck you want, because if someone says, "Hey, that's not what it is," and you can be like, "Well, if you go to our web page, page 7, section 3, it says that this project is in. You just did not dig far enough to understand that we are lying you, but we are allowed to." That's the whole problem that I have with like early access, alpha, beta, and all that shit. It just does not apply.
suppose there's that. But does that apply to the videos though? Because oftentimes, like,
I don't know. Does any
when they're doing these gameplay videos at like different games cons and or like E3, different like big kind of events like that, they either proudly display in engine or they don't. And I don't know, is it just kind of up to us to have to differentiate between like this is them actually saying it's in game and this is them doing a
I really
fancy
don't
animation?
know. Could be either or, but what I do know is that we are here because Chris Roberts sold us the idea of there's no one above his head, so he doesn't have to play by the rules.
Yeah.
And whenever the
Or it
rules
doesn't have to
benefit
play by the
them,
money.
they play by the industry rules, which pisses me off because it's a lie sometimes, and I don't like that.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I don't think necessarily that they would benefit from it, to be fair, but you never know.
To benefit to like putting like not in-game footage or whatever.
Or not putting, right? Or
Right.
making a real trailer. Maybe people will be
Oh,
like, holy shit, these guys are not lying. Like, look at this. Fucking, when
I
was the
guess,
last time we had the truth? We don't know because we don't,
yeah.
no one's doing it, right?
I guess in this case too, like it literally is just left up to the player then because like right now, one, you can get them for free. And
Sure.
then two, even if they did buy and they decided this is not the fucking game that this video showed me, you have a 30-day refund policy.
Yes. You
This is me
are
playing devil's
protected
advocate because
because
ultimately I don't care either way, but
they have to
really
protect you because that's like the law because you're
the law.
spending
Yeah.
money. But
Yeah.
in from my point of view is, am I backing the project that is lying to people or not? So to me that matters. Yeah. Yeah, the person who's been lied to and they feel like that, yeah, they can get their money back fine, sure. But I'm helping them lie to people.
Yes, and that's kind of its whole like a whole other conversation, which I suppose we've kind of had
Mm.
a couple times, like talking about like, can you like in your good conscience recommend Star Citizen to people right now? And my answer is still no. Like I've done that. We've already had this conversation a bunch. Like I've done that and I've been burnt. So for me, I guess it's the other reason why like this particular video didn't bother me because I didn't share it with anybody. I was just like, oh, that was fun. It was
I'm
pretty.
very empathetic though.
There's pretty ships and stuff like that, but like I didn't go sharing it to everybody because I
I'm
know
very
that our citizens not there to be played right
Yeah,
now, except for a very specific subset of person.
but
Um,
yeah. But I have empathy towards a new player and again, I'm like, why? You don't need to do this. You literally don't need to do this, Star Citizen.
I'd be curious to see those metrics. We'll never see them, but I'd be
No.
curious to see.
But even
Like
if you see
like
them, you don't see what would happen if if they did it the other way, right? So the metrics are not even because they might
well,
have
I
a
just want to
bump
know.
now after this video. But what if they had a bigger bump if they did it differently, right? You cannot know. You know what
How
I
do you
mean?
do it differently,
You tell the truth, or you make a fucking trailer in game. You know?
or do another Imagine video? Do you remember that? That's still probably my favorite trailer.
I don't know about that.
Oh, it's old and it didn't really age very well, to be honest, but it's just called Imagine Star Citizen.
That's cool.
And
I'm okay. Yeah, that's the truth. Like
yeah,
I don't, but
that
that's what
one
I'm
I
saying.
showed to everybody. I was
That,
just like,
that's what I'm
like
saying. Like
this
if
is great.
if they said this is what we aim for when the game releases, for example,
Yeah.
dude, there's nothing wrong with this. I love what you're aiming for. Because honestly, when I saw that video, I was like, "Oh my god, I want to play this game." you know, so there's nothing wrong with the trailer. It's how you present it. You know,
Oh, wait. I thought it was a fan made, but it's actually on the Star Citizen channel. Huh.
I mean, Redeemer is fan made and it's in Star Citizen store. So I don't know. It could be bought.
Mm. Okay, well, I'll put it in Discord anyways for you to watch later cuz like yeah. This is what they. You know what? This is what their latest one should have done. Should have been instead of like what is Star Citizen? It should have just been Imagine Star Citizen 2 or whatever, or just like you
Again,
know.
that's what communication is. Like it just the same product that they send can be such a different message. Heartwarming, you know, instead of pissing their current backers off. Yeah. All right. Next one is Imagination Station. Um, it was inspired by us getting into Javelin and listening to the NPCs that are there. Um, it would be kind of cool to have NPCs like that, like these, in our ships, who I don't know are interesting. But the real reason, so it's called the NPCs on board our ships. And it's also about like ships. What happens with our ships when we are going offline?
Yeah, yeah,
Specifically, big multi-crew ships. It doesn't have to be a big
yeah,
ship, but like more than one person.
yeah. Because we have some information about what's going to happen with our smaller ships when we log off,
Which is they
but
despawn, right?
yeah, like
Which is really
basically after a
awkward.
certain period of time, you'll despawn, you know, if there's no if you're not in combat, if there's not somebody around to you know, knock you out. And specifically, if I'm not mistaken, if you actually are able to log out in a bed, that despawn timer, if I'm not mistaken, they've said should be like pretty rapid. But
If I'm not wrong, like there were some talks about them saying I might be wrong. I don't know if this is official or some podcast or something. It's a bit jumbled up, but where if let's say you're flying Reliant and you just log off, but in game your character gets out of the seat, goes into the bed, and then there's a timer before it logs off. So you're still kind of targetable, you know, or you might because it's not safe to like you just you know what I mean. And but then the ship despawns. That's so awkward, man. Like what? So when you so let's say someone else is flying around and you log into the game and what your ship just spawns in there. Like
yes.
oh, there's a javelin.
Oh, well, okay. Well, first of all,
I know,
those
I
larger,
know,
yeah,
I know.
I don't know how they're going to get around that, to be honest, because they have said that they don't want ship spawns to be visible. That's why they said that ultimately they're trying to move away from landing pads and
I
into
have a solution.
hangars.
Cloak. If every
Oh
ship
my
can
god.
cloak, it spawns cloaked, and the first action you do, it cloaks you. And yes, this is
Okay,
totally what EVE Online does.
yeah. They're never going to do that, unfortunately. I don't know what the other option is though,
That's
right?
the
Like
problem. I don't want them to do this, but at the same
besides that
time, why is it
besides
worse that a Cutlass Black appears out of nowhere than a Javelin, for example? It's like the same shit. It's crazy.
here's an idea. What if it's distance based? Like, you can't log off in your ship bed if you're, like, within X amount of thousands of kilometers of a station or planet.
No, that will never be a thing because then you would have to spend additional 20 minutes to get to the station or whatever when you have to go to work. Like in real life, they can't time gate logging out. It's just not a thing.
Sure, you could. Like, you in order to log out, if you're near a station, you go to the station
Yeah,
and
it
log out.
takes 20 minutes or
Does it?
oh,
Why? What are
come
we
on.
talking about?
Because you have
Like,
to
it's
jump to the station, right? And then request landing, then you land, then you have to pack your ship.
5 minutes.
For 5 minutes, dude.
And all you gotta do is touch down, and then you can log off.
Wait. Have you ever played a game where you need to wait 5 minutes to log off? Do you understand this?
I
Who's
don't know, I've played a bunch of, like, games where, yeah, if you just log off out in an unsafe area, you're in an unsafe area.
yeah.
You know,
No, that's cool.
and you have to, like, either get somewhere safe which may take 5 minutes, or accept the fact that, you
Yes.
know,
If it's an option, sure, but like I have to be able to escape exit game. The game tells me maybe 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Like World of Warcraft, if you just click escape and exit game, it will tell you you're in an unsafe spot. Do you want to wait for 10 seconds and log out, or you just want to log out? Which means if you just log out, your character is still in game for the next 10 seconds and someone can kill it, which means you will
yeah,
spawn as a ghost.
okay, well, then the other option is to basically, if all you had, because here's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking basically in spheres. Um, if you jump 1,000 kilometers away from a station, that takes you 30 seconds less. Um, and when you are 1,000 kilometers out from that station, the sphere of space that you are now occupying is huge. So the chances of anybody being nearby to see you log out or log back in, vanishingly small.
I know how they're going to do it. Fired by your. You're going to log out and your ship will jump to nowhere.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then when you log in, you will be 5 seconds from
Oh,
the jump to the same spot.
maybe you have to log out in quantum travel.
No, but then you would have to jump somewhere, right? But like this, I log out in XYZ, like coordinates. And when I log off, if there's another ship, it's gonna see it randomly jump somewhere. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then if I'm spawning right next to that ship, instead of just like popping there, I
It
will
kind of
in
it
five
quantum
seconds
in.
quantum in, right? Which will be more. It will not break the immersion, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna do it like
Yeah,
that,
okay.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. That's the probably the best and easiest way.
If
You
you
don't
heard
have
it
to get
here,
anywhere.
CAG, just take it. I don't need any credit. But they probably have this idea already. When you think about it, it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Well, it didn't take us very long to come up with it.
No, of course, and brainstorm. I don't
Okay.
think I'm the smartest person.
So that's for smaller ships, but one of the where we kind of get into some muddier waters is with larger ships because one, you're dealing with potentially multiple people on them, and two, they've mentioned that capital size ships like Idris and larger will never despawn. They will they will be in universe permanently.
Man,
And
that's where I think they took too big of a bite.
it's possible, and they might backpedal on it, but,
Yeah,
like
I
but
think they will.
imagination station-wise, what are the implications
So
of that? Like,
I think they're gonna do the exact same thing, like before imagination, right? I think every ship will just, if it's not in the port, it will just jump out and in the game. That's it. Here's the thing, though. Let's say they stay, right? So we're imagining. When we talked about this before the show, we're gonna have a lot of NPC crew on these ships, right? So what's the crew of Idris?
uh, I think officially 30 30 or 40? I don't know. I can't
Which
remember
is
off the top of
tiny
my head.
number is gonna be empty, but like, but still,
That's just to have all the stations manned
yeah.
at one time.
So I wonder if
Um,
if we are going to be having 10 NPCs as a skeleton crew.
well, and that this is it, right? Like, when we talk about, like, you doing the same thing for a capital ship, they just jump off. Okay, when, though? Like, does everybody have to log off for that ship to jump away? What
Well, that's where the
happens.
problem is. Like, as long as there's one player in it, it
Yeah,
cannot jump. The other problem is, what if a random player on your ship logs in? Does the game spawn your whole
exactly.
ship for that player?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
that's
crazy.
exactly where I was going next, and it was like, and then at the same time, like, well, this is why the next point I put was, like, impediments to multi-crew gameplay. If you spawn in alone on your Idris and nobody else is there because nobody can make it today or whatever, what do you do? Like, are you just stuck
Do you
in
understand
the middle?
how stupid the idea of logging off in the bed and staying physicalized in game is? Like, even if they
Well,
pull it out somehow, that's so much headache.
haven't they? Didn't they do something like this in Rust?
I don't know, but Rust has less
But
people on the server than Idris has crew.
sure, but what I'm saying is that I'm pretty sure there are games that have like tried to do the physicalized thing, and from what
No,
I've heard, they
no, no. You
were
despawn in
actually.
Rust. I played Rust.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
thought
make
it.
your house though. They can be broken into and destroyed while you are not in the game.
Yeah, I've
Because
also heard of like people trapping people, so when they log on, they can't get out
oh yeah, because you
their
spawn where
house.
your bed is. So basically, you
Yeah,
make like 4 walls around you, and you can't go and play on our server. Everything you've done so far is done.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Anyways, so I think that right there, like if they plan on making it so that these ships are persistent, like I think that is a really serious impediment to getting people together
I mean,
to
there's a
play the game.
solution, but it's ugly. But then it goes back to if you use
There's a
your
couple
your
solutions, but
big ship for like weekend, raid gameplay,
yeah,
then um you should be able to spawn your ship in the port alone, right? And then wait for people to get on. That's fine. And then
yeah.
as a captain of a ship, you cannot log out until everyone else logs out,
Hmm.
right? So then you despawn the ship, and then the other people have to log out in group because even now we can log in together, right? So if
Either that or like you said,
or they just
like there's
despawn, man, or turn into
well,
NPCs.
well, yeah, that's exact. Oh, hey, that's an interesting idea. Wait, but then you deal with the issue of like having, like your character is in game physicalized
No, it
without
would have to
you.
be just an NPC.
Because the other option to that is just like if you have a capital ship and you're planning on running it on a multi-day mission, you have to have a certain complement of NPCs, or your ship is just vulnerable when you log in.
Well, yeah, but like, let's say you and me are in the Cutlass Black, and I log back in, you don't. The NPC that is with me might look like you and have a different name. Well, what happens with you when you log in is like maybe wake up in a hospital or something. I don't know. Or you're like, or your own hangar. The problem with this is you can always use it to, but yeah, maybe without your whatever you had in your pockets. I don't know. Because if
See,
you can spawn, respawn, despawn in different locations, and you have your personalized inventory, that can be misused.
yeah, for sure. I honestly like the idea of a capital ship being kind of like a like I don't know, again, I don't know
Event.
how they pull it off, but no, specifically as like a
Oh, base
flagship.
of operations,
Yeah, like a
kind of,
base of
right?
operations. So like, there's I don't know, 50
Maybe a
people in your
choice,
60
man.
people in your org or whatever, and yeah, like everybody logs in
Oh,
and logs off on
wait,
that
wait,
Idris,
wait.
right? 'Cause that's your
Here it is.
flagship. But
Anchoring. When the ship is in the anchor mode, for as long as ship is not, if it's anchored, you agree that the ship is not moving anywhere. And as long as it's like that, people can log in and log out. Doesn't matter. What about that?
um that that's an idea. But what happens if, say, one of your people's running late? Does everybody have to stay twiddling their thumbs at anchor while they wait for their guy to log on?
Their NPCs being ejected with the ejection pod and logs in there
I don't
and
know,
have to
man.
cry for help.
Because like I yeah, the more
Oh,
I
you
think about it,
late for the raid, motherfucker.
The more I love the idea of these larger ships being able to be used as persistent org bases, that you would like log in, log out, like the you're right in that like that ship may just be in the middle of deep space, and you just go down to a hangar and grab a ship there to go like if you're just playing by yourself, well, you know, but I don't know how to
Elite
I
Dangerous has, I don't know how they're called, like Super Carrier or whatever. I don't know.
aren't they just called fleet carriers or
Fleet
is that a No
Carrier,
Man's
yeah.
Sky thing?
No, well, No Man's Sky has it as well, but that's more like it's not really an MMO.
Hmm.
Not that Elite Dangerous is, but so Elite Dangerous, if you have that big ship where other people can land, dock, trade, repair, whatever the fuck, you can't fly these ships. You like so right now in Elite Dangerous, like the planet map is sort of like system map is like you have a sun or two suns, whatever, and then they're like connected to the this many planets, and then under each planet there's like moons. It's like a map literally, and then the carrier would appear like as another moon of that planet.
Right.
It's a movable object, and it stays there for as long as you want. And I'm not really sure how you move it to another place, but I don't think you really fly it. So,
Hmm.
because yeah, I don't think you can fly that ship around. It's just fixed position. It's more like you deploy it somewhere. So I guess you would fly with your other ship to a location and say, I want to touch my carrier to this planet. And then it takes time for that ship to appear there. I'm assuming. I don't know. I haven't played this. I've landed on our people carriers, but I've never had mine.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, this is a hard one, man, and this is something that they're
But
gonna have to start thinking about and giving us some more information
I
about
hope they're thinking
soon.
about it already, like big time. We just don't have
Yeah.
information. Just to clarify again, this is our imagination station.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. We're trying to figure out if we can come up with a solution, with a possible solution. That's all. We're not like trying to game dev the game or whatever. It's just like being
Yeah.
silly. Even though we sound
Yeah.
serious right now, but because I just don't see the solution for this. It's so hard.
Yeah. Those large multi-crew capital ships are like
You know what would be possibility is that these ships have the minimum NPC crew on them at any given time. Like when you buy the ship, you already have 10 NPCs on board. And you
hmm,
can and these NPCs are always on board. So if you as so and you as a captain are the only one who can either pilot the ship or allow someone else to pilot the ship. So others can log in and out from the ship at any given time, right? While the ship is in there with the skeleton crew. But you can't take off without the captain. And then it's your choice. Like if you don't trust the
or for
captain to.
somebody
Hmm?
well, in theory you could like designate somebody,
Sure,
like an XO or something too.
sure. And then if you don't trust your management, then don't fly with these guys. They're gonna fuck you
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
The
Yeah.
problem is if the ship is always in space and we have really good scanning, you're gonna find it as an anomaly. And
Yes.
while everyone's like, you're gonna sit there forever in your terrapin and figure out when people are offline, and then you're gonna hop on with like 10 NPCs and just take the Idris.
Yep. Which
I,
is what happens in Eve, right?
it
Like,
definitely does
not
happen in Eve.
necessarily with ships, but
Oh, it
with
happens with
stations and
ships.
stuff. Does
Oh,
it? Okay.
yes. When I started playing Eve Online, we were a small corp called 4S, which is kind of a religious thing. I had nothing to do with that, but it was like a Serbian corp. And we were like super small corp, and someone found a secret stash of many ships of a certain org, and overnight we became a really big corp because we got some really big ships. I was very new player at that time,
So they're
and I remember wars
physicalized
happening.
or
They
like
can be like there's a way that you can go into the station and stuff or whatnot. I don't.
oh,
I've never
okay.
done this, but
Huh.
technically you can lose your ship.
Yeah, which I mean, from what they've said, is kind of what their intention is with capital ships. Like they have said that like they are going to be very powerful ships, but when you have one out there, it is constantly a risk.
Yeah. Well,
Um
the only issue that I have here is your idea of ship being a base of operations. Do we have a confirmation that that's ever going to be a thing, or is this your own imagination?
that's
One
sort of
thing.
my imagination, but they've implied that with like
Okay.
ships like the Kraken and stuff like that, for example. Like that's how the pirates use them. Um
Sure, but like the
even
Kraken, I can see it in a completely different way. Like I have a Kraken, I can fly it on my own, right? And then I can tell you guys, hey, I'm logging on now. If you guys want to fly and land on the Kraken, and we can like do the things together.
yeah, but you
But
can't fly it but on your own. Like it is
you
a
can fly
multi-crew
it.
ship.
You can fly it on your own. You can't do anything else, right? One
I don't
person
know.
flies a Kraken. What do you mean? Like one person flies any ship and
I
do
guess
shit any
so.
with it. But
Yeah,
so I'm available now, and you guys can call upon. I think Krakens will be tow
yeah, but then
ships as
what?
well, right?
Then we start dealing with the same situation. So you log off, and then what?
You guys fly away with your own ships. They're docked on the Kraken.
Oh, okay. So that's the idea then, basically, like before you
I
log
tell you,
off,
like, okay, bye bye. I'm going to log off. Get into your ships and
so it'd be the you could basically have the same thing happen with an Idris,
yeah.
but it's not much of like a
But then we
not much
have
of a
ships. Like
base.
I think they have these crazy ideas that are unfeasible. Like Bano Merchantman. Would you leave that ship for people to buy and sell while you're offline? I mean, that's what you want, right?
Yeah, ideally, like you're basically stuck in a particular location, hoping that people come buy shit from you.
Well, I mean, if people can only buy shit from you while you're online, that that ship is losing a lot of its potential, right? You want to
Same thing
park
as
it
the
somewhere where,
Kraken. It's the same thing as the Kraken privateer, though. Like
yeah.
that's literally the Kraken privateer is
Oh
like a
yeah, yeah.
floating market. So like, yeah, how does that work? Like,
I
are they
don't know.
expecting
No.
that there are skeleton crews on there?
You
Plus, also like,
know, you know
how pissed off
how?
would you be if you left your giant capital ship in the hands of NPCs, and because they're NPCs and stupid, they just got their asses handed to them.
Because
You
you can
know?
listen. Because you cannot log off in a ship like that outside of a protected zone.
Yeah, basically. I mean, unless you are damn sure, unless you have like like an actual rotation built so that there's always somebody online.
Yeah, well, that's different. Then you can do whatever you want. But the game will not allow everyone to log off. In it will basically despawn the ship if it's logged off, active in a non-protected space. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know.
No,
That's
it's not a
definitely
good
count.
idea, but yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely counter to what they said, but again, like that what they said was so long ago. It's like, is it even relevant? Ugh, man. I don't think we've ever had an imagination station where we haven't just like instantly picked up an idea and been like, "Oh yeah, and this and this and this." And this one we're just like, I don't
I don't see how
what?
like the small ships. Sure, I in the end I think that's just not going to be a thing. Like base of operation is not a thing, unfortunately,
Yeah.
unless they do something. And the ships
I
just
know.
despawn, and then when I'm online, you can join on my server. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean that definitely seems like the easiest and most simple way of doing it is that capital ships get relegated to like just weekend raid kind of things.
Yeah.
When you have people online and you take them off the shelf when they are needed and then you put them back on the shelf and everybody logs off. I don't want that to be the
Let's
way.
hope. Let's hope CAG is imagining
Just
this better than we are.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah. Hopefully,
All
hopefully
right.
they've got smart people there and they've got a lot of people
Yeah, and
and
they
they've been
already had
working
some
on it for
crazy
a
good
long
ideas.
time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Okay,
here's
so
hoping.
we're 3.5 hours in. I'm closing this one. Do we have any questions?
Nope, no questions.
All right. That was a good episode, man. I really enjoyed it. I came in a little bit bummed, but again, currently gameplay for me is very, very bad. I'm encountering a lot of issues. Uh, but talking about Star Citizen is always currently is more fun than playing it.
Yeah,
And fuck it, like I do not think Invictus would change something, but no, actually, like pretty fat episodes of IC and especially
yeah,
SCL, and then just Invictus bringing a couple of things in, and this is what it is. Like everyone's so thirsty for any kind of content from the game, and it was enough for us to spark a 3.5 hour long conversation.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just to double down on that Invictus thing, I didn't expect it to be interesting either, but for some reason, again, yeah, just talking about it, but even just wandering around was enough to go like, okay, I get it. Like it
Anything
feels
different,
good.
man, because the drought is real,
Yeah,
and
it feels
yeah,
good, but notably for me, like it does feel like a step forward from last year. Not a huge one,
a tiny,
but
tiny step forward, I guess.
but there's more to it, and it's better than the one last year.
Definitely, there's coffee to go with no coffee, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's more than last year.
Well, that's what you can expect for next year. They'll actually have coffee at their coffee
I
stand.
wish, and just give me coffee stations on every ship, please. Thank you. They work.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess other than that, thanks for hanging out with us for this relatively short episode
What do
for
you mean
us.
2.5 hours?
That's short for us, man. Go
I mean,
look at
we
our
can go for
playlist.
5, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you liked this, please throw us a like and whatnot. If you want to hear more of this, please hit the subscribe button because we do this every Sunday. We stream this live on Twitch, usually around 11 PST. Um, Sometimes late, frequently late, but we
Which
get there
would be
eventually.
around 7 p.m. Central European time.
Yeah. And that's obviously on my, well, I guess not obviously, but we stream it on my channel here is twitch.tv/massocast.
If you
And
want to know when, like, because we're not very, like, it's not set in stone, it's always Sunday, but the time can be a bit later depending on how we do it. Follow
yeah,
Masocast on Twitter. You can find it in the description, and he always posts a tweet when we go live. If you want, because and the reason you might want to do this is because you can ask questions, and we often get questions asked. I guess people are busy playing the game because there's something new, which is
yeah,
great. I'll take
yeah.
that over questions every time. But yeah, if you want to ask any questions, and we always read them at the end and answer our opinions of it because we don't know everything, and you can hear
Talk
your
about random
answer.
shit before we hit the record button.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and then also stay tuned on the YouTube channel for Stanton Gossip. We put those out on Wednesdays, and that's a shorter, half-hour long episode where we basically just kind of talk about random videos, like
Content is
Star Citizen videos, content, funny tweets, etc., etc.
community
Um,
created stuff, not
yes,
CIG. So yeah,
yeah,
unofficial content. All right, thank you so much for being with us for this long. Have a great rest of your day. Get ready for that next work week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you here or in the worst. Bye bye.
bye.